Tipp Today, in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, welcome along to Tip Today, 1800 938 007. That's our free phone number. It won't cost you if you'd like to make a call to us. And Leanne is producing today. Coming up on the show, we'll be speaking to James Sexton in just a few moments' time. He's pushing for changes to inheritance tax. Defence analyst Declan Power will join us. We'll be speaking to Deputy Alan Kelly. And sightings of a UFO in Carrick in 1969. We'll tease that out as well. What about the secret to a lasting relationship as we head towards Valentine's Day at the weekend? And the wonderful singer-songwriter Nathan Maher will be with us live in studio. All of that and more. You can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email tiptoday@tipfm.com. Now, our competition, we've teamed up with Jack Doyle's Irish Pub in Budapest to send you and a friend away for the St. Patrick's weekend. You'll win flights, luxury city centre accommodation, sightseeing, a cruise on the Danube, and dinner and drinks at the wonderful Jack Doyle's. To enter, all you have to do is listen out for the song Budapest by George Ezra. And when you hear it, text Budapest along with your name and your details to 083 311 3311. We will choose 10 finalists and the winner will be announced on this very programme on this coming Friday the 13th. So celebrating St. Patrick's in style with Tip FM and Jack Doyle's of Budapest. Let's have a look at the front pages of some of your newspapers today. It being Wednesday, the local papers are on your shelves. The Tipperary Star, the front page headline, much loved publican killed in a car crash, and that's making reference there to the sad death of Pat Skehan in a car accident a few days ago. The Nina Guardian, the lead story there, council team to visit Maryland. The Carrick of Tipperary County Council, Councillor John Carroll, will lead a delegation to visit the US state of Maryland as part of this year's St. Patrick's Day celebrations in March. The Nationalist, and their headline, Mothers Deserve Better. And that's making reference to parents Sinead O'Donnell and Luke Kelly wanting the HSE to learn lessons from the tragic loss of their little son, Freddie. Let's look at the national newspapers now. And speaking of little boys, the front page of the Indo is dominated by a picture of little Daniel Arabose. And a man in his 20s has been arrested at Dublin Airport on suspicion of his murder. The lead story on the Indo today, large parts of the country will be exempt from new laws aimed at curbing short-term and Airbnb lets after they were watered down somewhat by the government. To the Irish Times then, and the main story on the Times today, the government is examining plans to fast-track citizenship for immigrants who complete military service in Ireland. Also on the Times, key reports from the state's Special Rapporteur on child protection where delayed internal documents have shown. And also that arrest of that man on suspicion of Daniel Arabose's death is on the front of the Times. The Irish Daily Mail, and the lead story on the Mail today, ministers have been warned legislation to lift the Dublin Airport passenger cap is likely to be challenged in the courts, which could further scupper efforts to resolve the row. And finally, a look at the Examiner. And they're leading with the story that Irish communities face more heartache with weather events such as the recent flooding. The Permanent Future experts have warned, as new European data gave a stark reminder of how extreme conditions are now becoming due to climate change. A very worrying story on the front of the Examiner today as well. There are almost 400 fewer Gardaí and roads policing units now than there were 15 years ago. New figures have revealed in some regions the number of Gardaí and roads policing has halved since 2009, and there are 40 fewer vehicles tied to traffic units compared to 2024. And finally, just it's worth pointing out, there's an article on the front of the Examiner as well, about completion dates for key defence projects, and recommended by an expert group 4 years ago. They've been delayed for periods of around a year and even 2 years in a revised government implementation plan. Now, the updated implementation plan for the Commission on Defence Forces 2022 report follows an initial government plan from November 2023. So that's kind of interesting. That's a look at what's making headlines. If you'd like to comment on any of that, we'd be glad to hear from you. 083 311 3311. Now, last year, James Sexton joined us on the show to discuss inheritance tax and why he believes it discriminates against those people without children. Since then, James has been rallying Irish politicians for changes, and he joins me now with an update. Good morning to you, James.
Good morning, Fran. Very good to speak to you.
Good to talk.
I wasn't quite sure whether you would speak to me this morning after Cork's hurling win on Saturday, but I'm very pleased to hear that you will. So.
We're here licking our wounds, James, but we won't hold it against you. Would it be accurate to say that your main concern is that you and your wife Sheila cannot pass on the same amount of your fully taxed assets to your loved ones tax-free as parents are able to do? Does that kind of sum up where you are, James?
That's exactly it, and that applies to all single people and all citizens in this country, all 1 million of us, and increasing, who do not have children.
So tell me where you are. You were rallying politicians about this. You're highlighting this. What have you been hearing back?
Yeah, look, I suppose what I don't really want to do this morning, I have all my bits and pieces out here in front of me, and I don't really propose just to repeat everything that we went through last week. But what I hope today's conversation will prompt your childless listeners and parents into action themselves. Because I think there is a general consensus amongst the public now that our current inheritance tax rules are just not fit for purpose. And those rules are completely out of step with modern Irish society. As you said, like more than 1 million citizens who do not have children, and yet our tax system privileges one family model over all others. And we're most definitely not advocating for anything whatsoever to be removed from parents and their children. We're just advocating for fairness, justice and equality for all the single and childless citizens and their loved ones. Now, there were no changes in last year's budget. And regrettably, the Taoiseach and the Minister for Finance, now Simon Harris, and our Minister for Equality, Norma Foley, they clearly believe that the current inheritance tax rules are fair and equitable. But we are here to tell them that they certainly are not. So if I do actually come across as a little bit exasperated this morning, Fran, it's because I probably am. Because I think childless citizens and their loved ones almost need to wake up to the inequality and discrimination that is being allowed to take place through their silence. Because this is coming down the tracks for their loved ones, and there is nothing that they can do about it unless there is radical reform is introduced. And that's the stark reality. And I think we must deal with the facts, Fran. As you mentioned, obviously, as well, childless citizens cannot pass tax-free the same amount of their fully taxed assets to their loved ones as afforded to parents. And it's only by focusing on the numbers that your listeners in Tipperary and elsewhere will understand the injustice that is taking place. Would it be okay, Fran, if I just went through maybe one example to illustrate the point again? It would indeed.
We'd appreciate that, James, yes.
So this is the same example that I mentioned the last time. A nephew or niece who might be fortunate enough to inherit a home valued at €400,000 from a childless uncle or aunt will have to pay a staggering, wait for it, €118,800 in tax within 12 months. And that home will almost certainly have to be sold by the nephew or niece to pay the tax that is due, often against the wishes of the deceased uncle or aunt. Now, we cannot see how that is a great solution, Minister Brown, to our very real housing crisis faced by younger people in their 20s and 30s. Whilst at the same time, that a child inheriting the same home valued at €400,000 will pay, thankfully, absolutely zero in tax. Now, if that system is fair and equitable, then the Taoiseach, Simon Harris, Jack Chambers And Norma Foley, our Minister for Equality, must explain it to the childless citizens of Ireland and to all your listeners.
And have you had anything by way of an explanation about this, James?
None of those politicians I've mentioned have responded to the discriminatory aspects of the legislation. We have had engagement, and we will. We have a meeting coming up in the coming weeks with the Taoiseach, which is very, very positive. But I think it's incumbent now upon all the childless citizens in Ireland to put pressure on our public representatives on this, because we're talking about absolutely enormous amounts of money. Like, it would take most people a quarter or more of their entire working life to be able to save €118,800 in tax. Because if you don't have children, you are well and truly in trouble. And, like, dare I say, screwed. Because childless citizens and their loved ones, they need to understand the financial ramifications of our inheritance tax laws. And I'm loath to say it again, but they do really need to wake up and start making a fuss about this matter.
Now, you make an interesting point, and in fact we discussed it on the programme yesterday. There's precedence for change here, because agricultural and business tax relief is available to land and business owners, and these reliefs significantly reduce inheritance tax liabilities. So there's precedent there, James.
Well, we have all these different exemptions and rules. Like, childless citizens have to adhere to whatever the rules that are in place. But at present, the rules are absolutely firmly fixed against childless citizens, and more importantly, their loved ones. That is the reality.
Tell me about you got some positive responses from politicians, even government politicians.
Yeah, as I say, if I just go through some of the aspects of, as I say, we have a meeting with the Taoiseach coming up in the coming weeks. We had very constructive meetings with John Lahart, Senator Tom Clonan, Senator Laura Harman from the Labour Party, Senator Evan Quillen. And we're very hopeful that we will be invited to appear before the Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party, and hopefully as well the Oireachtas Finance Committee. Myself, I had a meeting before Christmas with Jerry Buttermer, Fine Gael, before Christmas, fully supportive of our campaign. Over 35 TDs over the course of the last year have raised parliamentary questions to the former and current Minister for Finance on the inequality and discrimination that's faced by childless citizens and their families. So, and this is coming from a cross-section of political parties, and they are obviously asking on behalf of their childless constituents. Only last week we had a fantastic meeting. I wasn't there myself. Other members of our of the National Edit campaign group. We had a meeting with Peadar Tobin and Senator Sarah O'Reilly from Aon2, and Peadar is going to write to all the party leaders to seek a review of the inheritance tax system. Down here in Cork, Ken O'Flynn of the Independent Party been hugely supportive of our campaign, and he's going to be introducing his equality and succession planning bill in the coming months. So that's a hugely significant
And James, are you and your organisation, are you able to point to other jurisdictions where there is a more benign look at this?
Well, no, look, I suppose we're not arguing against inheritance taxes. We're arguing against inheritance taxes that are discriminatory against all childless citizens and their families. They're questions really for the public representatives. Whatever the rules, they have to apply equally to all citizens. We live in a republic where all citizens are equal. No, there are a number of countries across Europe who do not have any inheritance taxes. But there are questions really to be put to Michael Murphy, Seamus Healy, Matty McGrath, Ryan O'Mara, Alan Kelly, and Michael Lowry. They have been so silent on this matter over the course of the last year. To be fair, I have received messages of support from some of them, but I haven't heard them speak up on behalf of their childless citizens. And I know, obviously, you mentioned that Alan Kelly will be on later this morning with yourself, so perhaps you might ask him this particular question.
Sure, we'd be happy to do so. Yeah.
But this doesn't just affect childless citizens. It also affects parents who are listening here today. And this might not affect parents with maybe 4 children, but it will most certainly affect parents with maybe only 1 or 2 children, because the inheritance tax thresholds have not kept up with property prices. If we go back to 2009, before the crash, the Group A parent threshold was just over 542,000. Now, if we allow for inflation in the intervening years, that Group A tax-free threshold should probably be more than €700,000 today. And yet, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, they appear satisfied in their pre-election manifestos to committing to increasing the Group A threshold from the current 400,000 to 500,000. And they want to be given applause for doing so. But I think it's important that we must not forget that this is taxpayers' already fully taxed homes, fully paid for,
yes,
homes that they wish to pass to their loved ones upon death. So I would say to Micheál Martin and Simon Harris, if they think that voters and homeowners don't understand numbers or the concept of inflation, well, we most certainly do. And again, Fran, it gets even much worse for childless citizens and their loved ones in Group B in the Group B and Group C thresholds. 10 times worse for Group B and 20 times worse for Group C. All childless citizens are completely screwed by our discriminatory inheritance tax regime. And we've reached out to all political parties. We've reached out to the Social Democrats, the Labour Party and Sinn Féin on this issue. And with the exception of Sinn Féin, the other 2 parties do not appear to be able to articulate what their position on inheritance taxes is at all. And we have sought meetings with all 3 parties, but none have yet taken place. We didn't hear Holly Cairns or Ivana Bacik mention anything about inheritance tax discrimination in their recent annual TV conference speeches. And yet, these 2 parties are supposed to be firmly committed to social justice, equality and fairness, where they most certainly are silent on this issue, an issue that impacts every single family in this country.
All right. Well, James, I must leave it there, but we will certainly put that to Ellen Kelly a little bit later on, and we'll continue to follow your progress as well. Good to talk to you today, James, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Fran, for all your help as well. Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Thank you, and good morning to you. That's James Sexton there of Edit. How do you feel about that? 1800 938 007.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, while the recent release of the latest tranche of Jeffrey Epstein's files has captured headlines worldwide, critical global crises continue to unfold. The conflict in Ukraine shows no sign of abating. Tensions in Gaza remain acute. And the international spotlight is now turning to escalating confrontations with Iran. So what is the latest on these high-stake geopolitical flashpoints? Security and defence analyst Declan Power joins me now. Good morning to you, Declan.
Good morning, Fran.
Good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time today. Benjamin Netanyahu, he's meeting with Donald Trump today amid the Israeli fears that talks with Iran will be limited to just curbing the nuclear program. He wants more extensive restrictions. The US military build-up, though, in the region continues on. Declan, how real is the prospect of an American attack on Iran?
Well, I certainly wouldn't discount it. I think it depends on what you construe as the nature of an attack. I think the build-up is very much part of the American strategy to show to get Iranian attention, and it has worked. And there is a series of negotiations going on. That's probably going to give the Americans pretty much what they want. The question is, will it give the Israelis what they want as well? Because they seem to be the driving force to have gotten Donald Trump focused so much on that region. what I find somewhat disconcerting and maybe disappointing too is that Donald Trump had been very much to the fore in talking, admonishing the Israeli or the Iranian regime about their treatment of their own people. And that seems to have gone very much down on the agenda. I suppose maybe I shouldn't be too surprised. In fairness, I don't think anybody is. But, Iran is not in the headlines the way it was. Perhaps the back has been broken on the protests. An awful lot of people were murdered during those protests. There's a lot of people suffering and probably incarcerated. So the question is, what is the US objective here? Will they settle for some sort of restrictions on Iranian nuclear program? Which wouldn't be a bad thing for the region, I have to say. But will that be accompanied by any caveats about human rights and about better treatment of the people? Or is that completely forgotten about, a bit like the way Greenland has been as well? And will Netanyahu then fill that space with some other over-the-top Israeli demand and increase instability? So that all remains to be seen.
What about Iran's nuclear capability, though, at this stage? Because that's in serious doubt, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. It's believed since the coordinated air attacks previously that they haven't restored the capacity that they had. And perhaps there was a political reason for that too, that they wanted just to keep the dog from the door, so to speak. We should remember too that serious observers never believed that there was an immediate threat. But there was, and we can't, again, we have a tendency to forget this in this part of the world, such as Ireland and indeed Europe's antipathy to Israeli aggression, that the Iranian nuclear program was something that was likely to become problematic. The issue of moving to a weaponized level and developing platforms for delivery would completely change the dynamic in that region, and that wasn't in anybody's interest. But to come back to the issue, if there is a deal done that the optics are good and that the Iranians, here's the thing, that the Iranians are happy to sacrifice or to retard progress on their nuclear program in order for the US to back off and to allow the current regime in power in Iran stay in power. Well, that's a big win for the regime at the expense of a lot of dead Iranians. However, if the Trump administration was to push for regime change, and depending on how they do it, could that lead to more deaths as well? There was speculation that what the end game might look like is that the more or less the regime in Iran would stay, but the upper echelon of it might change, and that with that change would be a commitment to some level of reform that would maybe justify the deaths of those unfortunate people who took to the streets.
And what support would there be for Iran in the event of a conflict?
Well, some of your listeners, no doubt, would have been reading some of the reports in various papers over the last week or more, including statements from the Iranian leadership that they were ready for a war with the US and they'd target US bases and they'd mobilise their network, including Hezbollah and Hamas and various other terrorist groups they funded, including the Houthi regime. But it's flying in the face of reality. Hezbollah have been defanged. I mean, I'm not saying that, to paraphrase somebody else who once spoke about terrorism, they haven't gone away, but they're not the military force that they were. They don't have the clout that they had. Their command and control systems are degraded. Hamas, well, they're still holding a level of power in Gaza, but they're not in any way of serious utility to Iran. And similar with the Houthis. Could the Houthis close off the Persian Gulf, the Straits of Hormuz? Not for any significant length of time, not with the power projection that the US have engaged in with the fleet, the assets that they have in place now. So I think there's a lot of saber-rattling going on there by the Iranians. It's probably primarily directed at their own people. If they were to get into a kinetic burst of warfare with the US, they would suffer hugely.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm still kind of confused as to why the Americans encouraged the Iranian people to get out on the streets and protest. And as you alluded to there, the tragedy around the numbers that were killed, I thought that the object there would have been to topple the Ayatollah, and it had shades of what happened in Iraq, I suppose, Declan. But was that the plan, and was that abandoned in some way?
I think it was probably adjusted. Most plans, the old saying, never survive contact with the enemy. In this case, there wasn't a direct confrontation, but I think both the US and Israel were pulling a certain amount of strings. But we shouldn't forget, this was not something, those street protests deserve respect here. They shouldn't be dismissed, as some people tend to do, to try and suggest they were purely the workings of Mossad and the CIA. There's no way that they could have manifested that level of commitment to the risk-taking of ordinary Iranians. So we need to remember that the ordinary Iranian people has been chaffing at the bit under a very coercive and bloodthirsty regime for quite some time. Now, maybe there would have been a degree of coordination in some parts and assistance, maybe with regards to internal communications from external forces, or certainly trying to get news out because of the blackout, the internet blackout applied by the Iranians, and I'm sure CIA and Mossad would have had a hand in that. But let's not underestimate the will of the ordinary Iranian people. And I think to an extent the US and Israel tried to coattail on that a little bit. So coming back then to where does that go now? Why did the steam run out of Donald Trump's bellicose stance and claims to stand up for them? I think it's a case that if you topple a regime, who are you going to replace it with? And maybe there was a concern that if things were pushed too much, you might have a toppling of the regime and then complete chaos in the region.
Yes.
And sometimes what was likely to take over, especially if there isn't a plan, a worked-out plan for some responsible entity to take over, then you're better off taking the foot off the pedal. And I think that's maybe what has happened here.
And to move to Gaza then, Declan, I mean, Palestinians in Gaza still facing Israeli attacks, and, we're hearing about disease and medical neglect and all sorts of stuff happening there. So ceasefire, how real is that?
Look, it's not perfect, and it's exactly as you said, and there are breaches of the ceasefire on both sides, and the Israelis can be quite cynical about trying to control the area, and there are certain analysts and commentators believe that Israel's end game is to try and make it as unpalatable to stay there for as many Palestinians as possible. But let's not lose sight of one other thing. There is a ceasefire, which is better than no ceasefire. It's in a precarious state, but to be honest, are Hamas in any real position to be belligerent in any way to the Israeli state? Not very much. They don't have very many cards, to paraphrase Trump. So really the important thing here is to try and nurture that ceasefire, and to try, with talking from the perspective of the international community, to try and encourage the Israelis to allow more aid into the region and more normalization of relations, which also would include restricting Hamas in control of the area as well. I mean, they still hold a certain amount of the area in an iron grip. And in a way, it suits the Israelis to have that too. Hamas aren't a threat to them. They're not a threat even to their troops on the ground. The biggest threat they are to are ordinary Palestinians who are caught up in this power play. But the only way forward with Gaza is small, steady steps and small wins in terms of trying to restore, maintain the peace, such as it is, and try and restore a degree of working normality for ordinary people. And we need to keep that in sight. It's not a time for grandstanding or trying to lecture and get people's backs up. It's about trying to get small diplomatic wins to get the necessary levels of aid and support, be it food, medical supplies, and a kind of a semblance of a rule of law, and maybe loosen the grip by using the good offices of other Arab countries around there to loosen the grip of Hamas and to try and work towards developing some sort of a Palestinian leadership that is not purely Hamas. I don't think we can eject Hamas out of the equation. That would be perhaps foolish. They're still very much part of the ruling process. And the Israelis seem to be happy enough with that at the moment, and they'll play politics with it. But ultimately, the long game has to be to try and grow a new Palestinian leadership. And I think ordinary Palestinians, if you give them a proper democratic choice, I'd say they've had enough of the misery Hamas has brought upon them.
I would imagine so. And I was reading a piece, I'd love your opinion on this, with your military background. I was reading a piece from the civil defence in Gaza, and they've documented thousands of, maybe you're across this, Declan, thousands of Palestinians who were evaporated since the war began in 2023, and seemingly it's attributed to some systematic use of prohibited thermal and thermobaric weapons that literally evaporated people. Are you across that?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for laughing there. I haven't heard about that. And I just to clarify, this is a claim that large numbers of Palestinian civilians,
almost 3,000 of them, were literally evaporated.
Now, I think we need to put it into context. Certainly, some of the weapon systems deployed by the Israelis, people would have, if they were in the ground zero area of detonation, would have been vaporized, to use a term. And I think maybe that's what they're talking about. But maybe we've got to be careful here too. There's such a level of propaganda, disinformation that is wielded by both sides, and this has become a feature of war in the online age. And it's very, very easy these days, if you have a little bit of skill and contextual understanding, to inject something that sounds maybe rational, but it stops short of having tangible things in it. Like, my curiosity would be, how has this not got out to maybe more, reputable standing entities? I mean, when I say reputable, people that would be very much in line with wanting to support the Palestinians, international organisations, talking about something like that, or even holding a press conference about it. The other side to it, from a practical point of view, is are they suggesting that this was targeting separate to the kinetic operations that we saw under play, something separate to that? I find it very hard to believe. I think there are, unfortunately, far too many ordinary Palestinian civilians that did get vaporised, who were at ground zero when there were the standard use of artillery and jet airstrikes by the Israeli Defence Forces.
Can I just finally ask you about Ukraine? Then we continue to hear about the drone attacks there. We rarely hear about the day-to-day fighting, though, on the front line, and I'm presuming that continues on with a huge loss of life, Declan, does it?
Yeah, it fluctuates, and as far as I understand at the moment, because of the winter and the severity of it in that region, that it tends to limit full-scale manoeuvre operations. And usually what happens during this period is that both sides are planning for their spring offensives, and that's when they would pour a lot of men and material and try and change the nature and character of the front lines. At the minute, it becomes kind of a war of attrition. They both hold their lines. There'll be a lot of bombardments, drone strikes, and probing of the lines, and attempts to engage in small missions to maybe damage petrol and oil lubricant stations behind the lines, which would interfere with the manoeuvre of supplies. This is one of the things that the Ukrainians had been very vocal about in the last while, and they weren't really being listened to. Where the munitions and weapon systems that they were getting from the West, particularly the US, there were restrictions on how they could use them, and it limited their ability to be able to attack logistics centres behind Russian lines, which would completely impede the ability of the Russians to launch attacks, be they standard infantry assaults or drone attacks, without regular supply of fuel, for example, or being able to coordinate and control from a base. Those things become limited. So it was a very legitimate request by the Ukrainians, not even in an offensive way, but to be able to better defend their territory. And so coming into the spring, what can we expect? But I think the other side to it too, Fran, is that the negotiations are ongoing. And I think the Ukrainian approach to this is to doggedly hold what they have, demonstrate a will to continue fighting, and that their capacity to do so is undiminished. And the Russians, on the other hand, while they're allegedly negotiating, are callously looking for any soft spots, in particular in the civilian home front. And that's hence you've seen some very nasty drone strikes, particularly at high points in the, or rather I should say low points in the weather, where you're attacking centres of energy supply that are going to make life very difficult for ordinary civilians. And that's to try and sap support for the war. But, the thing about it is that the Ukrainian people have shown themselves to be undiminished in that area, and that they are very strong on the point that they don't want to hand over territory that has been hard fought for and a lot of blood has been shed for.
Most informative as always. Declan, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Thank you, and good morning to you. That's Security and Defence Analyst Declan Power speaking to us there. How do you feel about that? Would you like to join in that conversation? 083 311 3311. Now, a message in from Bernie who says our car was stolen recently. A passport was in the car. The passport was found and dropped into Thurles Garda station. We'd like to thank whoever did this. We appreciate it so much. We would love if this person contacted Thurles Gardaí so the Gardaí might be able to locate our other belongings and possibly the stolen vehicle as well. Again, we would like to thank this individual very much. That's in from Bernie this morning.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tip Today on 1-800-938-007.
Welcome back to Tip Today. Leanne is with me in studio. Morning to you, Leanne.
Good morning, Fran.
Well, we've been threatening about this for quite some time, that we would play this piece. Do you want to introduce this to us?
Oh, this is the great UFO clip. So following reported sightings of a UFO in Carrick on shore in 1969, Newsbeat visited the area and met some of the people who said they saw this UFO. So it was Cottle O'Shannon, and he met with Kathleen and John Shelley and Ellen O'Donnell first, and they were from Carrick on shore, and they all said they saw this very mysterious object.
Now, what did you see? What drew your attention to the sky in the first instance?
Well, it was my wife Kathleen who first drew my attention to it. She pointed out something which looked like an aeroplane, but after some time, a minute or so, we saw that it wasn't because of the shape, number one, and the lights. And at this stage it consisted of, to our mind, it looked like a cloud with two lights shining out of it, but they weren't flashing on and off as you would see in an aeroplane. When we had travelled about 2 miles of the road, it had dropped to a level of about 100 feet from the ground.
And how far away from it were you from it at this time?
It's very difficult to say, but it looked like 150 to 200 yards. It was more or less hovering at this stage.
Could you see a shape at this stage?
No, just a massive light.
And it was coming down from the sky?
It had come down, and at this stage it was hovering.
And what about colours? Was it red or white or what?
It consisted of 3 colours, an orange and crimson light, which seemed to be coming more from the top of the object, which was, the whole thing was surrounded then by a mass of bluish fog or vapour, which more or less obscured the whole object.
Well, what was its shape?
It was spherical, half a sphere, I suppose you could describe it.
And did it actually come down and touch the ground?
Well, I had been looking at it. When we got to the point where we saw it hovering, I stopped the car, switched off the lights and engine, to see if I could hear any noise. There was no noise from it. It was moving in a kind of a backward, forward direction. and dropping very slowly. I was looking over a 5-foot fence, and Kathleen at this stage got quite frightened.
Well, what frightened you about it, Mrs. Shelley?
I just couldn't understand what it was.
Well, what did you think it was?
Well, I did think it was some, I won't say flying saucer, some identified object, something I had never seen before, something unnatural to my mind.
Yes. Did you get out of the car at this
No,
stage?
I didn't. I stayed inside and I called John.
But you had a clear view of it?
Yes, I could. The window was down and I could see it, probably not as well as John saw it at the stage when it was hovering. But I was watching it the whole time while it was descending from the sky.
And indeed, it's just what John said it was. You saw
Yes,
just what he saw.
Exactly. We discussed it afterwards just to make sure, and we did see exactly the same thing.
And when your wife called you to get back into the car, had the thing landed at this stage?
Well, it was just dropping below eye level at this stage, and my reaction then was to go down after it. And I was just about to climb the fence when Kathleen called me back.
And discretion being the better part of valor, you went.
I went, yes.
Well, now let's just look at some of the possibilities. Do you think it could have been a meteorological balloon or something?
This was my first thought, actually, that it could have been something like that. But then, of course, I don't know very much about meteorological balloons, but I would have thought that it couldn't drop so fast from the sky. It dropped that distance in less than 3 minutes.
Or possibly have been 30 feet on the height of a house.
Yes.
But what about bog mist of some sort? Did this occur to you?
It did occur to me, yes.
Well, now you've had a week or more to reflect on this. Have you thought what it could possibly be?
I'm keeping an open mind on it. I'm not convinced of anything yet.
But the Shelleys were not the only ones to make this odd sighting. Young Ellen O'Donnell was coming home 1.5 hours later with her boyfriend when she saw the lights too.
I saw this strange object. I can't... over there, and...
Up against the hill?
Yes, up against the hill, and I just said to Teddy, there's something over there, and he said, don't mind it.
What colour was it, Ellen?
Oh, every colour, orange, crimson. I think there were a slight,
There were lights coming out of it?
No, not exactly.
What shape was it, would you say?
Shape.
Was
Just
it-
more round than anything else, I'd say. I'd say it was just something...
An aeroplane, maybe?
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
What about some sort of mist? Could it have been
No,
mist?
I wouldn't say that either, because it was something I never saw before, and
Well, did it frighten you?
yes, it did.
What did you do? Did you go straight home?
I jumped into Teddy's arms.
And off you went then, did you?
No, well, we saw it. We were walking and we saw it.
But was it the moon? Suppose it was the moon.
No, it wasn't the moon. No, definitely.
Or some stars?
No. It's just something I just couldn't really describe it. It wasn't stars or the moon, for that matter.
It was in this field, not far from the Mullinahone Creamery, that the Shelleys saw the object hover. And because it was suggested to us by Mr. Desmond Leslie, who's something of a UFO expert, that we should have the ground hereabouts tested for residual radiation possibly left by this object, we asked Mr. Eddie Bergen, the South Tipperary Civil Defence Officer, and his assistant, Mr. Eddie O'Neill, to sweep the area with Geiger counters.
Our instruments recorded no radioactivity of any description.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all, no.
Not just nothing unusual?
Nothing at all, actually.
If the radioactivity was present at today, it certainly would have shown on the instruments.
Well, now, it's a fortnight roughly since this sighting was made. Suppose something had landed there that made the area radioactive. Would there be a possibility that all traces of it would have disappeared by now?
It's quite possible. I mean, it would depend on the intensity of the initial radiations, and we know that radioactivity decays according to a certain law, which is known as the 7/10 law. In other words, if for every 7 multiple of the time, the radiations decrease to 1/10 of their intensity.
So that if there was some radiation there, what you're saying is it could have disappeared by now?
Well, it could be so slight that it wouldn't be picked up by our instruments.
Mr. Bacon, if you'd found anything there, would you have been surprised?
I would undoubtedly have been surprised.
Mr. O'Neill, would you have been surprised?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think I would have been surprised, yes. But as Mr. Burton says, the instruments didn't show anything. It's possible that an initial radiation there could have decayed over the past 15 days, but as I say, I don't think I expected to find any radiation present.
The instruments didn't show anything. 1969 there. There's a little bit of confusion, though, about the sighting being Carrick and Mullinahone. What's that about, Leanne?
Yeah, so they listed it online and obviously in the papers at the time and with the report as Mullinahone, Carrick on Shore. So there's been a lot of confusion because over the years people have said it was Mullinahone, others have said it was Carrick on Shore. So what I think happened was maybe in regards to the municipal districts kind of thing at the time. But there was a sighting at the Mullinahone Creamery, but there was also sightings in Carrick on Shore. So it must have just gone on a trip across over both of them.
Interesting, but it's fascinating that they brought this guy down with all this equipment to test for radiation. He found nothing.
Yeah, Mr. Burton found nothing.
Yeah.
But people still claim, and there's lots of reports across Tipperary and across the country over decades, that they've seen unusual objects in the sky. So it's not a one-off, but it's a great piece of Tipperary history. Like, this is what made the news, was the UFO in Tipperary.
Right, and this made national news.
Yeah, this made national news. This was on Newsbeat. This was a talking point in all the towns, people asking each other if they had seen this mysterious object.
All right, can we put this out there and see, are there people out there who would remember that, or maybe had an experience of that, or maybe recognise somebody, some relatives on the piece of tape there they might like to share with us on 083 311 3311. We've been speaking about AI, artificial intelligence, over the last while. The latest we've seen from AI is absolutely incredible where music is concerned. Do you want to introduce this piece for us?
It's incredible, but it's also very scary. So the new thing with AI is that you're able to format it through the algorithm, so you can put in, give me another one that's going viral at the moment, because I won't spoil what this one is yet.
Yeah.
Is sound of silence. Give me the sound of silence, but make it Irish folk. So AI can then put all the parts together, the sounds of those Irish instruments, what an Irish singer would sound like singing this song, and it's unbelievable. But even the dictation of the words, it's terrifying.
Incredible. So this is the Simon and Garfunkel song you're referring to, but in this case, they've taken a Michael Jackson song.
They've taken Billie Jean and made it Irish Rebel Song, is what it's titled.
Now, again, just for people who, because I know a lot of people aren't completely across AI, this is just asking AI to do this. This isn't real musicians sort of playing their version of. This is the technology doing this themselves.
This is
itself.
This is AI mirroring it, so it'll examine what is common in Irish folk music or Irish rebel songs and is able to make this. And it kind of comes in at a funny time because we've had artists now, AI artists, start to make the international top 10s, top 100s. And who's making the money there? Obviously the people who are formatting this music. So it poses the question, is AI going to become our new musical celebrities?
All right, let's play this, because this is going to give people an indication of how clever this technology is. So this is AI working on the Billie Jean song but giving it an Irish folk treatment. Is that a fair summation? Okay, let's have a listen.
She was more like a beauty queen from a film scene. I said, don't mind, but what do you mean? I am the one who will dance on the floor in the round. She said, I am the one who will dance on the floor in the round. She told me her name was Billie Jean. As she caused a scene, then every head turned with eyes that dreamed of being the one who would dance on the floor in the round. But Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one. But the kid is not my son. She says I am the one.
I mean, That is absolutely incredible, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. Now, I find it a bit uncanny. It does make me kind of, by the hair stand up on my arm, because I think somewhere in my brain I know it's not a real person.
But it's so real.
It's so realistic.
It's obviously Christie's voice that they've been manipulating.
Yeah, they'll mirror. So any famous artists that come up when AI starts analysing, they'll look at that dictation, how they say certain words, any common breaths that are taken, and they're able to take that then and mirror.
I know, but say, as an arranger, as a musical arranger, if I was to sit down and do that, it would take me a day, I would imagine, just to score it. Don't mind to say anything else. And that... It's where's it going to end?
That's the thing, and is this what we're going to see now? Because it's going to be able to create music on a much quicker volume than people are. But I think it can take, in these cases, it can take maybe a few hours for it to analyse. But still, if you put that in what it'd take to record in a studio.
Yeah, but that's not robotic. You know, there's actually there's a feel to that. There's a groove to it. Like, you know, it's so incredible. Anyway. What more can I say? Let's share this with our listeners and find out what they think. 083 311 3311. News is on the way.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the second hour of Tip Today. Huge interest in several of our items in the first hour there, and a lot of correspondence coming into us. I will get back to it in just a little while. But this week, RTE Investigates examined the rapid rise in waiting lists for the Central Mental Hospital amid psychiatric care crisis in Ireland's prisons. Now, it highlighted the highest figures on record of people deemed sick enough to require treatment in the new Central Mental Hospital, but instead they're kept in our prisons. Labour Deputy Tipperary's Alan Kelly raised this issue in the Dáil a couple of years ago, and he joins me online now. Good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning, Fran, and all your listeners.
And good to talk to you today. After the RTE Investigates programme, many people are shocked, but are you surprised by the scale of the problems in caring for these very vulnerable people with mental health issues, or is it any surprise to you at all?
I'm not surprised at all. I think the public are shocked, but I've been raising this issue, particularly the issue in relation to Stephen Loughnane, since September 2021, so 4.5 years, Fran. It's shocking. I want to compliment his mother, Jacinta, his family, for, you know, it's not easy to go public, Fran, especially about your own son. But also to RT Investigates, Conor Ryan, who was on to me as part of the programme recently. So, I mean, this is what is good public service broadcasting, to be fair, because it's highlighting an issue which is scandalous. I mean, the idea that people are being put in jail, are being isolated and secluded 23, 24 hours a day. Stephen was secluded for 20,000 hours. That's 833 days. Where you're basically left on your own with four walls.
And Jacinta described it as, you know, like something from Silence of the Lambs, locked in that little room behind a screen, and the cruelty of it, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I don't know if you saw the other programme the night before, but effectively what's happening is we're exporting this problem when cases are so complex. So as a country, we have failed these people. We have failed people with complex psychiatric needs. We're putting them in prisons, we're isolating them, we're secluding them, and we're leaving them to rot effectively. And it is disgraceful. It is inhumane. I mean, the head of the prison service has said that this is against all international law. It's against everyone's human rights. And the fact that we're doing this at a level that has been described through this programme shows really these people have been forgotten. And because they're not a political priority, because they can't defend themselves, they can't shout loud enough, they're left to rot. It is absolutely disgraceful what has happened to all of these people who are in the care of the state. We should have the facilities, we should have the staff, we should have the capabilities to look after our own people. They have very complex needs. Whatever hope they have of having some form of quality of life, it's taken away from them because we are not putting our best foot forward and trying to help them. The idea that they're held inside in jail, I mean, many people have no criminal background at all. It's just the only place that they can be put. It's shocking stuff.
What does it say about the relatively new Central Mental Hospital, though? Because my understanding, now I only skirted through because I was working, my understanding is some of the beds there are not even used.
Yeah, I mean, this has been open a number of years, and it's a fine facility, but it's not fully opened. There isn't enough staff. Not all the rooms have been opened. I heard the Minister for Mental Health, Mary Butler, on Morning Ireland this morning. To be honest with you, she wasn't able to provide any answers. Bar speaking over the interviewer, she basically was saying that essentially that she's going to open up a number of more beds into the future. But sure, we've heard all of that before. I think she said 2 new beds have been opened in the recent past. But we need a whole different approach to this. You know, we need, obviously, there's difficulty getting workers across the health service. I've spoken on this issue on your show numerous times. If we should bring people from outside the country, bring people from outside the country. We need specialists. We need people who are dedicated towards this type of work. It's very specialised work. It isn't easy work. You're working with very vulnerable people with complex needs. I understand all of that. But surely we can find these people and fill this facility with them and ensure then that we can bring people to who, like Stephen, who have complex needs. He has been moved in recent months to a larger room, larger area, but still it's not meeting his requirements. I mean, there's loads of people who are being left in seclusion, in isolation, in prisons and in facilities where they are simply not getting the care that this state is obliged, and I say the word again, obliged to provide. And that's why we pay our taxes, Fran, to ensure that we all give a little to protect those who are most vulnerable. And by God, these people are the most vulnerable.
And those big plans, was it 20 years ago that we had that new psychiatric plan for Ireland? Has that failed us?
That was renewed there a number of years ago.
Was that Vision for Change originally?
I actually don't think the plan was a bad plan. To be fair, I think across politics it was kind of welcomed. Yeah. Because, a lot of the old institutions, were outdated and all of that, so we didn't need to change everything. But it's about resources and it's about planning and it's about ensuring that you resource up to the plan you put in place. And this simply has not happened. I've had a number of other people on to me in the last few days as well in relation to this issue. I've had colleagues on to me in relation to people as well. And some people are just being left to rot, friends, as simple as that. And Stephen's case is a classic example. I mean, I raised this in the Dáil on the 15th of September 2021. The Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, assured me that the then Minister for Mental Health, who's now the current Minister for Mental Health, Junior Minister, Mary Butler, would look into it. I further raised it because of the circumstances of Stephen and the fact that obviously he'd been sent back for another 4.5 months to prison. I raised on the 5th of October with the then Taoiseach, Simon Coveney, who again said that this issue would be looked into. And then yet we have a scenario where Jacinta and the family have to go on this programme last night because 4 years later this is where we are at.
And not to forget the people who have died in prison as well, psychiatric patients.
Absolutely, and there's other cases whereby, the reports, we had the head of the prison service in our Justice Committee recently, and there's a number of reports which he's done. There always has to be a report done for your listeners. There has to be a report done, obviously, when somebody dies in custody. A number of his reports, and one specific very worrying case which we referred to in the programme, hasn't been published yet. So, that's deeply concerning as well, because obviously we need to find out what has been happening in all of these cases. So all in all, Fran, effectively the state has reneged on its duty here. It has let down the most vulnerable, and we need to see a rapid change in direction from this government, who have been in charge of this portfolio all of this time, to ensure that the resources are put in place, the facilities are improved, the pathways are there to help these people, and indeed to help their families, who obviously are struggling big time when they see their loved ones being left in a state like this.
Why do you think we need an RTE investigates for this kind of thing to be addressed? We saw the same thing with nursing homes, for example. Why do we need that?
Fran, very simply, because these people are not a political priority. They're not a large NGO. They're not a big society group who all do fabulous work. They're the forgotten people. They can't speak for themselves. Their families are worn out, Fran. The advocates have been hitting their heads off a brick wall, and that's why we need these programmes. And I have to commend RT, I have to commend Conor and all the team. They spent, imagine, I know this for a fact, they spent a year on this programme.
Yeah.
A year. So hopefully, because of the advocacy of Jacinta and all the other people on this programme, hopefully because of that work with RT, finally Micheál Martin, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Independents, Mary Butler and everyone else in government will actually put in place the pathways, the resources and the facilities to ensure that, and the personnel to ensure that Stephen and all the other Stephens and the future Stephens will be looked after appropriately by the state. As I say, I think anybody who watched that programme, anybody listening to this, would feel that is warranted. That's why we pay our taxes, to ensure that people get the help that they deserve.
Yeah, but as usual, we allow this to evolve into something that is... I'm not sure even where they'd begin to address it, but you think recruitment is vital, do you? Is that central to this, recruitment?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've no doubt that recruitment is a huge issue here. I mean, but we've had recruitment issues across a whole range of other areas. Obviously, over the last number of years, we've had massive requirement for recruitment as our population grows. In the health service, we need more nurses, more doctors, and we've been able in many cases to go outside the country. I'm inundated with people coming to my office trying to get vetting secured so they can start working in nursing homes and working in hospitals, etc. So, you know, we can go out and find these people as well as the people who are coming through our own system here in Ireland. But, you know, we need to be more, you know, we need to be on the ball more on this, to be honest, Frank.
And you mentioned the people coming through our own system as well. And we discussed this last week, and I'd love your opinion on it. I mean, many of our brightest and best doctors, nurses going elsewhere. Do you think there should be an obligation on them, because the state obviously contributes to their training, for them to stay for a period of time? How would you view that?
Firstly, there's been some analysis done of this. Firstly, many people travel for different reasons. Some people travel because they want to learn specialist areas in healthcare, and sometimes that is, you have to travel.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah,
that's fair enough. Other people choose for lifestyle reasons to travel for a few years. Again, I can't object to people doing that. What I would like to see is incentivization of people before they leave and or when they have left, to bring them back. And what I mean by that is a program whereby once people leave the country, that we continuously keep in touch with them. And, you know, there is a program in place with them as regards facilities, as regards how we can entice them back, as regards options, as regards career paths, and all of this sort of stuff. Because actually the surveys have shown that in many cases the real reasons why some people don't want to return is not because of pay and conditions. Yes, they want to travel for a number of years. Yes, they want to learn other skills in some cases. But often it's the case that the actual working conditions are the reason why they don't want to come back to work in Ireland. I mean, to be honest with you, if you're working in a hospital in Perth, you know, and you look at all the reports and everything that's going on in relation to the hospital in UHL, it's hardly incentivizing to come home. But I do believe that we should be keeping in touch with all of these, and there should be an incentivization program, a communications program to bring all of these people back.
Right, but you wouldn't go so far as to oblige them in some way to spend a period of time here. Do you think
I would look at a program whereby if people wanted and it'd be an opt-in if people wanted to have part of their training written off over a number of years post-graduation. Yeah, we could certainly look at that, but that would be dependent on them actually graduating. Obviously, from a taxpayer's point of view, you couldn't write it off in advance. It would be post-graduating, because obviously you'd need to have them in the workforce to be able to justify that. But yeah, I would certainly be open to looking at something like that.
Under the National Development Plan, the government says that 105 schools will move to tender or construction in this year or in 2027, but only one school in Tipperary has been given funding, as you pointed out. You've called this disgusting, especially when you look at the cases like Coloshtafubble in Rossgrey.
I just can't get over this. I mean, what influence have we in government? 10 schools are picked in Galway, where the minister is from. Like, we got one. I'm welcome to St. Anne's is getting an extension in Rossgrey. It's badly deserved. But of all the schools in Tipperary, Coloshtafubble, one of the largest populated schools in Tipperary, again has missed out. I mean, not alone that, with Coloshtafubble and Thurles, which has huge requirements because of the state it's left in. We've Newport College in Newport, one of the fastest growing areas in the Midwest. And then we have Nenagh Community Primary School, where essentially the principal doesn't know where they're going to put some of the kids next year because they won't have enough classrooms. And for some reason, we in North Tipperary were discriminated against, and these schools did not get on to this list. This list is for this year and next year to progress to tender or construction. That means that the next list will be in 2 years' time. Now, none of the 4 of these schools have made the cut. I don't know why. I mean, to be honest,
is it because they're different stages, Alan, of design and planning and the like?
Of course, all schools are different stages. But some of them have planning already. Some of them are just about to get planning. There's no they're not the reasons, because there's other schools who are at different stages who have been put into the plan. It seems totally imbalanced as regards how we, and particularly in North Tipperary, have missed out in this round of funding. And I know there's serious concern. There's serious concern amongst the management and the staff, the ETB and parents in relation to a number of these schools, because the people in Rossgrey who I've been speaking to couldn't get over the fact that Coloshtafubble is left out again, because it has been put on the capital list 10 years ago. We have all know the story in relation to Coloshtafubble and the requirements there, because they've had so many issues in relation to leaks and their roof and everything else. I mean, Newport College, it's from an absolute demographic point of view, has huge population growth, which is well known. It's very close to Limerick. And the Nenagh Community Primary School is a very, very unique school, because it was one of the first primary schools taken over and used as taken over under details to the ETB. But they have been growing at such a rate that they simply don't have the facilities, and they don't know where they're going to put students in the coming years.
And if they argued with you, Alan, that St. Anne's Special School getting the funding, for example, that special education being prioritised, and we have to see that as being a good thing, is that an argument?
I have no issue. Putting St. Anne's number one on the list of those 5 wouldn't be an argument. I wouldn't argue against that at all. That's not the issue. The issue is, how do we end up in a scenario where in Galway 10 schools are picked, and in North Tipperary we got an extension, a very wordy one?
Well, you'd have to say it's population growth. I mean, it's higher enrolment pressure there in Galway.
I've outlined, and I could go into a lot of detail in relation to 4 schools. I have 6 pages of information in relation to these 4 schools and the issues there. They all are in desperate need. They're all a priority, and they weren't chosen for some reason. And for me, it's not acceptable.
Right, but that's not the full capital programme, though, in fairness. Sure, it's not.
Well, it's the capital programme for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So it is what it is now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and are you hearing that there's obviously a lot of disappointment out there from parents and teachers and stuff? You're hearing that,
I've spoken to parents, I've spoken to boards of management, I've spoken to principals, I've spoken to teachers, I've spoken to people in the community in all of those areas. I mean, people in some cases are in a state of shock that they've been left out again. So, it's deeply disappointing that this government didn't feel the need to support those schools in particular, and indeed there are others as well.
Speaking of disappointment, we speak about policing here all of the time, and no Gardaí to North Tipperary following that recent ceremony in Templemore. A lot of disappointment about that as well.
Well, Fran, to be honest with you, I'd rather not be coming on your show speaking about this. Firstly, but it's a fact. Like North Tipperary's got no Gardaí in the last 2 allocations, and if you look at the numbers, in November there was 194 graduates, 87 were allocated to Dublin. This time there was 167, 104 gone to Dublin. If I walk out of my office and go out through the front gates of Leinster House and I walk all the way down to O'Connell Street and then off down the far side of the north side of Dublin, I will fall over Gardaí. Literally, I'll see him everywhere. And you know what? I know sure that that's welcome. But you look for a guard in Roscrea. You look for a guard in there are guards travelling from Newport to cover Roscrea, Thurles. There's guards. I mean, firstly, the policing model is bananas.
That's the amalgamation of Clare and Tip, isn't it?
The fact that it's so far into Clare and you have to cover all the way down past Templemore, it's just crazy. But I can understand how, with the retirements and everything else, that we haven't got our fair allocation in North Tipperary stations in particular. We only got, by the way, 1 in the last 2 allocations, 1 in Tipperary in total, and 2 went to the South Tipperary areas, 1 in each allocation. So why are we being discriminated against? And dare I say it, rural Ireland is being discriminated against. I mean, the allocations are so Dublin-centric. I have to call it straight out. They're so Dublin-centric at the moment. So this isn't fair. I've had, obviously, loads of issues in relation. I speak with guards all the time. As you're aware, I speak a lot on guard issues. I'm the justice spokesperson. And, guards are at their absolute, they're exhausted, they're dragged all over the place, they don't have the resources, but in particular, there isn't enough of them now. I mean, rural crime is becoming a real issue in my own area. There has been a real worry about crime recently. We've had a number of serious issues that have to be dealt with, and the guards do a fantastic job, but they can only work a certain amount of hours. We simply don't have enough of them, and I'm calling on why this government is discriminating against rural Ireland, is discriminating against North Tipperary when it comes to the allocation. And I also note that the Minister, while he was in Templemore, did point out that there is a review in relation to looking at another location for some training, and that is ongoing. So he didn't confirm that all training was going to stay in Templemore either. So and let's see how that plays out, because obviously I'm fighting to ensure that all training stays in Templemore, and that there isn't a situation where some of it is taken out of the area, because obviously that would be the detriment of Templemore and surrounds. And
so your read on that, Helen, is that still on the cards? Is it for some form of second campus or something?
My read on that is the Minister hasn't ruled it out. There's a big farm that they bought a number of years ago up the road in Clonmore that they should be using if they need to develop in the area. The second thing is there is a review going on, which I have questions in on at the moment. There's a former Assistant Secretary in the Department of Health who has been appointed as the chairperson of it. That group is meeting is to report before July, before the summer recess, and I'm fighting to ensure that everything remains in Templemore. But I wasn't very taken by what the Minister said. He definitely left the door open, and that proves why I have such concerns. But my main issue here is in relation to An Garda Síochána as regards the volume of Gardaí being sent to rural locations in general, and particularly North Tipperary. I believe rural Ireland has been discriminated against, and I believe particularly North Tipperary has been discriminated against.
I'm sure you're across that today, but it's on the Examiner. Almost 400 fewer Gardaí in roads policing units now than there were 15 years ago, imagine. And
and Fran, I raised this with the previous commissioner. He committed that there would be 150 extra, 75 last year and 75 this year. The figures show that he hasn't come within an ass's roar of that. So, we all talk about road safety, we all talk about all of that, but if you haven't got the guards on the road dealing with the issue, particularly, issues that are obvious on motorways and everything else, and all of the issues associated, well then, what do you expect? I mean, it's one thing to be talking the talk, but you don't walk the walk, because you certainly don't have the number of Gardaí that the actual commissioner committed to in the first place over the last 2 years.
Councillor Jim Ryan was on the programme, I think it was yesterday, and he spoke about the last general election. He said at the various debates that yourself, along with Michael Lowry and Ryan O'Mara, guaranteed support for Nina Hospital. He said, and he referred to you as well as the other two deputies, your silence has been deafening since the election. What do you say back to Jim Ryan on that?
I didn't hear Jim's comments. I hope he distinguishes the fact that I'm not in government. I haven't been for 10 years. But when we didn't have a Bob, by the way. But look, I can't fight any more than I have for Nina Hospital. I mean, as you know, I literally working with Louise Morgan Walsh, Fiona Bonfield and Shamie Morris, in fairness, and the community of Nina. I literally bust a gut to make sure we got our community nursing home back. We've got our primary care and outpatients facility, which was instrumental in ensuring that land was got from the Nina Rugby Club. And we also have another extension going on in relation to the hospital. And obviously there's a lot of other things going on there. I'm so passionate about this issue. I've spoken more about this issue than anything in my political career. I've spoken about my poor old dad and the impact UHL had on our family. I've spoken about this issue in relation to other family members. UHL and what's going on there. It's shameful. It's shocking. Don't need to say it all again. The government has committed to doing the A, B and C as regards the Hickory report, the A being the 78-bed block, B being a 100-bed unit somewhere else, and then to build an actual Model 4 hospital. I don't believe in B. I believe you just have to go straight to C after you do A, which is build a hospital. And I'm waiting on the government to decide what they're going to do there. This is only announced before Christmas. I welcome that. I welcome that. And we'll see what the minister says. But I don't believe in B. I believe that we should go straight to C, which is build a second Model 4 hospital which, into the future in the Midwest. And that, on top of other investments, is where we really need to go, because we're discriminated in the Midwest. If you go to the southeast, they have a Model 3 or 4 hospitals, Kilkenny, Waterford, Wexford, and then they have South Tipperary. We've only one in the Midwest, and that is not acceptable.
James Sexton spoke to me at the top of the programme, and he asked if I would put it to you. I mean, he's concerned that, people without children, they're not able to pass tax-free the same amount on fully taxed assets, we're talking about here, to loved ones as that afforded to parents. He's fighting a great campaign on this. He's wondering about the Labour Party and maybe your stance on this, and would you be prepared to support that?
Yeah, I actually, Michael Chicken Brennan has briefed me on this. He's actually been advocating as well. I think he has a fair point. I believe in wealth taxes. I believe, obviously, we have to make our contribution to inheritance tax. But a central point which is being made, and I didn't hear his interview, but, this has been raised by Chicken previously, is that the way in which society is organised, the family unit, Fran, everything has changed. And we need to modernise this tax in line with that. Obviously, the relationship statuses have changed. Obviously people being married or not, that's changed. So I think there is need to look at the imbalance between the primary A category vis-a-vis then B and C.
Yes.
So, for instance, somebody passes away who's no children, or somebody who's an individual. You used to have this thing of the favourite, you still have it, the favourite niece, the favourite nephew and all of this sort of stuff. I think that a whole section needs to be broadened out to be more equitable given the changes we have in society. So I think, in fairness to him, he has made a very valid point as regards a discussion that is needed on it. I mean... And do you think
the Labour Party would look favourably on...
I think when it comes to equality and the changes in our society, without a shadow of a doubt, that's been our trademark all our existence, fairness and equality. So, yeah, I think he's opened up a discussion that's worthy of going through Leinster House here and the broader society.
All right. Thanks for your time this morning, Alan. Thank you.
I just want to congratulate my old alma mater. I haven't been on since. I want to congratulate St. Joseph Borsley on their under-19C Munster Championship, but in particular, my old alma mater, Nina CBS, where I was proud to go to school, and where my own son is in school at the moment. So it was incredible seeing the Herta Cup win over Fran, and so congratulations to everybody associated with it. I was very proud to be there and very proud of my old alma mater. So thanks for your time today, Fran, and hello to all your listeners.
Thank you. Good morning to you. That's Deputy Alan Kelly speaking to us there. 1800 938 007.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, puck on. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, we spoke to my friend, and musician Gay Brazel, on Monday about the old days of the dance halls, because this conversation just continues on and continues on. And in Gay's case, then he kind of started a slot we're going to do maybe once a month called Tales from the Road. But again, huge interest in this. Conor O'Donovan joins me now. Conor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran, and thanks for having me back on your programme.
You're very welcome, because we had very little time the last time you and I spoke, but you were telling us about Effin, which is County Limerick, so it's over the border. Is it between Kilmallock and Charleville, kind of, is it? Is that where it would be?
Correct, yes. It's sandwiched in between Kilmallock and Charleville, so it's on the border of Cork, we'll say, County Cork. And actually, I would have gone to school in Charleville back in the day, myself, in the CBS in Charleville.
And I often pass through to Effin myself, but I didn't realise that you had a dance hall there, Conor. And we chatted about this the last time, but you brought all the big bands there.
Oh, yeah. Did you get a chance to read the article?
I did, and it's here in front of me, yeah. And the coincidence, this article was published in the local paper, I think, was it?
Yeah, in the Vale Star newspaper there, which is published in our base in Charleville itself, So like, since I was last on the programme, as I said, 3 weeks ago, I was actually speaking with Mike Carroll from Effin, and he used to book the bands for the dances in the hall in Effin, and I was also speaking to my mother, Sadie. And both of them brought my attention to the article, that had appeared in the Vale Star newspaper a few weeks previously on January the 8th, about the history of the show band dancing in the hall in Effin. And as you can see there, it was written by, the paper's correspondent, John Harold. So definitely it was somewhat of a coincidence that this article should have featured in the newspaper around the time that you got the discussions going on the show band era, Fran.
Isn't it interesting?
John Harold himself presents some music programs on West Limerick Radio, including a show band program every Thursday, apparently. Now for you.
Isn't that incredible? And it just goes to show you the huge amount of interest. But the article is here in front of me, and considering I didn't hear about the ball, I mean, everybody and anybody played there, including Gina and the Champions and Sean O'Dowd and the Donny Callan's band. All the big bands played there.
Yeah, they did. You name it, they played there. And in fact, actually, now I was studying it a little bit, and there was one band that did play there, but it's not mentioned in it, right?
Yeah.
And it's the Everglades, right? Now, you may recall, that many bands would have had, if you like, postcard type photos of themselves, with the band's name on it,
Yeah.
And and like when members of the Everglades band, they'd be in our pub, and they would hand out those photo cards to the customers. And I remember their photo card in particular, as it included a line in it that had a catchy ring to it, and it read, "Man, I'm an Everglades fan." And that has always stuck with me, even to this day, But actually, as a side note there, I don't see mention of Dermot O'Leary and the Bars there. Now, would they have ever played in that Fran?
You see, a whole bunch of those decades, it doesn't compute with me anymore. I think a lot of drink was taken through the 1980s and the 90s with the Bars. But there was one name that stuck out with me, though, and I never heard of this band, the Farmers and the Dancing Mice.
Oh, listen, neither did I, Fran. I mean, a lot of those bands would have been before my time, obviously, but, there's a lot of them there I never heard of, But come here, I want more small story to tell you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. So you may recall, the last time that I mentioned that various band members would call into our pub for a drink or two a couple of hours before the dance was due to start. Okay. So there was one night there around 1970 when Sean Dunphy and the Hoedowners were playing in Efron. Now, you will recall that Sean Dunphy, just a few years previously, in 1967, represented Ireland in the Eurovision Song Contest.
He did indeed.
Singing If I Could Choose.
Yes.
And he finished in second place. So he was a big enough name at that time. Now, a few members of the Hoedowners band called into the pub for a drink before the dance. However, Sean and the rest of the band members didn't come into the pub, and instead they stayed in their minibus, which was parked outside on the road. So I decided that I was going to go outside to the minibus and ask Sean Dunphy for his autograph. And as I approached the minibus, I could see through the side window that Sean was in the back of the bus, and it looked like he was asleep. So I knocked on the driver's door window, and the guy in the seat rolled down the window, and I inquired if he would ask Sean Dunphy, to sign my autograph book. So he took the book and pen and passed them back to another band member who was sitting next to Sean Dunphy. And rather than wake Sean up, he proceeded to write Sean Dunphy's name on the autograph book and handed the book back out to me with what was supposed to be Sean Dunphy's autograph. Look, I said nothing except thanks and left, But look, it may have been a small bit of an anticlimax not getting the authentic Sean Dunphy autograph, but I actually enjoyed the whole experience of approaching the minibus and asking for his autograph nonetheless. Plus,
that's great,
I got to see him in person, which was a big deal in its own right.
And the last day, Conor, you were telling us about the Dubliners being in your pub. Who else do you remember going into the pub ahead of the dances?
Oh, look, I mentioned the Everett lads there. Brendan Shine, of course, I mentioned him at the time.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you, Fran, members of the main Big Tom, you say, and the mainliners, some of the Indians, you might remember the Indians.
Sure, yeah.
Some of those members would have been in there, and Johnny McAvoy. Now, we had a small lounge area as well, separate from the pub, we'll say, but Johnny McAvoy would come in and he'd have a couple of drinks in the lounge there, and it was a kind of nice private area there, and I think Red Hurley might have been there as well, actually, another time. But listen, just when I think back on it, it's kind of a magic experience, that we as a family, had.
That you got to meet all of these people. Did you keep any of the keepsakes or the autographs or?
No, look, we're gone out of there for a good while, so none of them I don't have any anywhere, friends. Whether any my sisters or brothers have, I doubt it too. We'll say, But you just took it for granted a bit at the time. To be perfectly honest,
I suppose. When did the hall in Effin close as a dance hall?
I was just reading the article there, and it was in 1992, wasn't it? I think Tommy Drennan had said there, wasn't it, who played it out?
Yeah, so it took it right to the very end of the whole show band thing, really, didn't it? It stayed the course.
It stayed the course, absolutely. What was actually interesting was, let's say, in relation to the hall itself, let's say, right? So you might have read there that was built, let's say, finished, the construction of it was finished in March 1958, and the dance floor that was put down then, right? Such was its quality that it is still there to this very day, And back then, like, the polished surface, could be a little bit slippy. So from time to time after dance, some sawdust might be sprinkled on it to try and avoid, someone having an accident, maybe slipping and falling. But in 1974, the Badminton Club was founded in Effin, right? And so the badminton actually would be played in the hall itself. However, in order to protect the floor for dancing purposes, the club had to acquire a special badminton mat that covered the floor, to be able to play the badminton on,
Yes.
So that mat would be rolled out for badminton sessions and then rolled up and stored underneath the stage when there was no badminton being played, But like back then, when I was talking to different people, they say a good dance floor was very important for the different types of dancing, the slow waltz, the jive, the fox foxtrot. As word would spread whether the dance floor at a particular venue was either good or bad for dancing, and that could be the making or breaking of a venue in terms of drawing big crowds to the dance. Certainly, able to say that the top wood product for the dance floor is very durable and polishes up nicely for dancing purposes.
Music's still very strong in the area. I play quite a bit in Bulgadon Castle there. That's not too far away, sure it's not.
No, as they say, never to be just over the road.
Just over the road,
just 4 or 5 miles away. That's all it would be. And,
lovely dancing there on Wednesday nights and stuff. Conor, thanks so much for sharing the memories, and lovely to have that article as well and mentioning those bands. Many of those bands I never heard of, which is...
Well, neither had I. And you know what? Would you mind if I just read the concluding lines of the article?
Of course you can.
Would you mind that John Harold wrote?
Yeah.
Okay? And this could apply to a lot of people here. He says, I spent many nights playing badminton in Effin on the floor where thousands had waltzed, jived or foxtrotted, sitting between games on the stage where many of the legends of Irish entertainment had stood. I have to say, I wasn't any better at badminton than I was at dancing, but sure, we had a good time doing both, And you know what? He's dead right. Not only we had a good time doing both, we had a great time doing both, Fran.
Lovely memories. Yeah. Conor, you're a lovely guest, and thank you so much for coming on with us. Thank you. Thank you,
Fran. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Jill. It's Conor O'Donovan there speaking to us about the ballroom in Effin. I passed through it quite a bit, and I never knew there was a vibrant ballroom there for decades. We'll take a break. Back in just a moment.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tip Today on 1800 938 007. Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter or email tiptoday@tipfm.com.
Now, with Valentine's Day only 3 days away, what is it at this point? Many people are rushing to the shops for some last-minute gifts for their beaux, while others are reminiscing on shared romantic moments. But what really is the secret to a long and a happy relationship? Well, we've been asking some of our listeners and some of our regular contributors, and my good friend Helen Walsh is with me now. Good morning to you, Helen.
Good morning, Fran. How are you?
I'm well and good to talk to you today. Well, let me pose that question to you to begin with. What is the secret of a happy relationship, a long-term relationship, Helen?
Do you know something I'd actually say to you? I genuinely don't know that it's probably a mixture of patience, endurance and respect.
And the romance aspect, because a lot of people go into relationships, with that whole romantic idea and all of that. Does that play a part in it?
Oh, I think so, yeah, because when I met the man that I married, I met him first. This sounds a bit kind of like, oh my God, but when I was in school, I was in 6th year, and he had just started teaching in the school down the road. And he came up to our school to tell us about a disco he was running as a fundraiser. And I was sitting at my front desk and I looked at him and I thought, that's the man I'm going to marry.
Wow.
At the age of 16.
You knew at that point?
I knew at that point. And I know we didn't start dating until a good number of years afterwards. But yeah, I knew at that point. And in between times, I sowed a good few wild oats, like a few fields of them.
And what was it? So, that was love at first sight, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I knew it. It wasn't... I don't know, I just knew it.
That's incredible. Incredible. And do you know why? Have you teased that out? Do you know why that spark was there?
Because, when I get those and to this day, whenever I get a kind of that feeling, strong feeling of something, I don't question it. I just go, that's interesting. Let's see if this pans out.
Isn't that really interesting indeed? Really interesting.
And in between years, in between those years after I had made that decision in 6th year, I dated loads of guys, and I often had 2 guys on the go at one time, which was quite some going in Carrick and Shore because it's a small town.
Yes.
And I'd be ducking and diving and hoping not to get caught.
Yeah. But none of them measured up to the ideal, I guess.
No, exactly. I remember my friend used to say, "Oh, none of them are good enough," and I was saying, "No, that's not it. I just know, I'll know." And I said, "I think I already know," but I haven't run into him again since then.
Yeah.
I see him in the town because he was a teacher. But eventually, I asked my father to introduce us. He was a scout leader.
Yes.
And I asked my father to introduce us because I thought, "Oh, for feck's sake, fate is not kind of playing any hand at all. I'll just give it a little jog." And and like it wasn't like. And then he asked me out. He didn't. It was just. There was a scouts. There was this yet again in relation to the scouts because I ended up being involved with the scout movement. But we went to a fundraiser for the scout movement in Carrick, and that was our first date. And that was the rest of the say is history.
And how soon after that did you get married, Helen?
3 years.
3 years, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 years and 9 months.
My God. It's a fascinating story. I know you a long time, but I didn't realise that, Helen. What do you make of, a lot of relationships today, they don't stay the course, I suppose, in the same fashion as years ago. What do you make of it all?
I think it's different courses for, different horses. Some relationships may fall apart and then can't get back together again.
Yeah.
I always say about anything in my life, nothing is permanent. Nothing is set in stone except a gravestone and death.
Well, it's an interesting way to think, that's for sure. And the whole business of Valentine's Day, does that mean anything to you, or is it just a hallmark occasion? How do you feel about that, Helen?
I actually think it is a hallmark occasion. I was in Tesco yesterday, and to be quite honest, some of the Valentine's cards that I've seen there and in other places, not just Tesco, Happy Valentine's Day to my daughter.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so that's expanding the whole thing, isn't it? Yeah.
As the new generation now would say, that gave me the ick.
Yeah.
I thought, for God's sake, Valentine's Day used to be just, send, and God, I sent many a Valentine's card for some poor victims,
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, and some prank ones as well, I
can imagine.
But
do you think it's being completely commercialised now, has it, with trying to expand it out to
see it to my daughter? Oh my gosh! Yeah, but it has been very much so, because from a few days after Christmas, you see the second chocolate roses and the Valentine's teddies and teddy bears. Let's not say teddies, teddy bears. All of that up in the stores.
And do you mind if I ask you, will you celebrate Valentine's Day, will you?
No, bypass it.
Bypass it completely?
Bypass it completely, yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't mean anything, is that it?
It's because, it's just a hallmark thing, and do you know something? It's also because when I was a teenager, even though I sent Valentine's Day, I can actually tell you, friend, the sad news is I never got any as a teenager.
Oh, nobody sent you a card, Helen?
No one.
And did that bother you and upset you?
It did as a teenager, because I always felt kind of like a bit of the odd one out and stuff like that, And because it felt like then I acted out accordingly and made myself even more of an odd one out, Yeah,
But the others probably sent cards to themselves. Do you remember people used to do that years ago?
Now, one year my friend and I, she never got any Valentine's cards. He said, we'll send one to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But the funny thing, even though it's supposed to be romantic, I remember once, for a different occasion altogether, it was a very special birthday, but somebody sent me a card but didn't sign it, and with that, you know who I am. It was the creepiest thing ever, because I thought,
that is a bit odd already. How did you feel about that somebody was kind of almost stalking you in some way? Was that it?
Oh, I didn't, and it frightened me, because in my past I had been stalked by somebody. I'd been involved with a group
Well, don't give me too much detail now, Helen.
I'm
sure
giving
you won't.
no. There was an issue in the area where I was,
right,
and they didn't like the publicity, and I was stalked, and that was terrifying.
God, it must have.
And it was around the time of the movie Cape Fear.
Oh,
so
Lord.
you can imagine. Yeah. So then getting this card, I was going, oh my God.
That's interesting. So there's a creepy kind of a side to it as well. That's an interesting take,
yeah. And although I know that, like, when I was a teenager, that it was said that you shouldn't sign your name on a Valentine's card because it's bad luck.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So there you go. So then now when I look at the Valentine's cards and I see to my wife, to my daughter, to my fiancé, etc., I kind of defeats the purpose, Rick, in that if you're not supposed to sign your name.
Yeah. Helen, always a delight to talk to you, and thanks so much for coming on and sharing that with us, Helen. Good to talk to you. And dare I say Happy Valentine's Day, Helen?
Of course you can, and happy Valentine's. Are you out playing for Valentine's weekend?
You know me, sure, I'm always playing somewhere or other, Helen, along the way. But yeah, I can't remember where I am, but I am out somewhere.
I'm
up in Wicklow, up in Shillelagh, up in Wicklow for it. So.
Oh, lovely. Actually, and just before I go, Fran, just when I say about music, I remember a brilliant place in Carrick. There was a ballroom in Carrick and Shore where Super Value is now.
Yes.
And that goes back to the early 1980s. And it's such a pity it went, but that was like, talk about the ballroom of romance. That was it.
And you have nice memories of it, Helen?
I have brilliant memories of that place,
That's great. Lovely to talk to you, Helen. Look after yourself, and thank you for coming on with us. Thank you. Good morning to you. That's Helen Walsh. News and information is coming up.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat, and welcome back to the final hour of Tip Today. Keep those calls coming into Leanne on 1800 938 007, and that's a free phone number. You can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email tiptoday@tipfm.com. Now, Fomori Productions is to present a brand new show, The Burning Man, at the Thurles Source Arts Centre this Thursday and Friday, the 12th and 13th at 8 p.m. I'm glad to be joined now on the line by the writer and director Patrick Fogarty. Good morning to you, Patrick.
Hello, how are you going?
I'm very well indeed. Good to talk to you today. Tell me about this. You describe it as a darkly comic play. What's at the centre of this? There is a central character, isn't there?
Yeah, so basically, it's as you said there, it's a dark comedy, and the premise of the play basically is a man who was involved in a fire. His wife died in this fire, and he's kidnapped the couple that caused the fire by accident. So throughout the play, he's interrogating them on how it happened, and he kind of moves between grief and sadness and sorrow and anger and so on. So that's the premise of the play.
Now, it sounds tragic and it sounds dark. Where does the comic relief come into that story, Patrick?
Yeah, well, I suppose that's he kind of starts to then see his old self in the young couple, and he kind of gets on with them despite himself, and they're kind of comical, and I suppose the absurdity of the relationship is where the comedy comes from. Like he might be talking about the sadness of his wife passing, and then it might cut to the Conor who's to telling his girlfriend about how the fire started, and it was something to do with onions in his sandwich, or etc. So it's a strange kind of play.
It certainly sounds intriguing, and indeed. We were talking just earlier on there about love and about Valentine's Day and all of that sort of thing. I guess what you're telling me, love is also central to the whole thing, isn't it? Lost love,
exactly,
frail love,
exactly. So like the memories, of his wife, what it meant. He kind of relives that throughout the play, listening to voice tapes from his wife who passed. And yeah, it kind of confronts grief and love and how those two are married, and
Is he an obsessive?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, naturally he's psychotic. You know what I mean? Of course, he would be. Man lost his wife and was involved in a fire.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's comparisons there with Beckett as well. I think were you inspired by Krapp's last tape, by the Beckett play? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's reference there. I mean, to an extent. I mean, I think we're crying out for new plays, really, in this new generation. I think the eras of Beckett's and McDonough's and McPherson's, we've seen them all. They're done. We've seen them all. Let's get something new. Let's see something original, especially in the digital age and everyone's on their phones. If you want to see something new, exciting by a new group, this is what you want to see. It's probably a play you haven't seen anything like. You know what I mean?
Tell me about the casting of this. Then, how many people are on stage?
Yeah, so there's only 3 characters in the play, so it's himself and the young couple. So there's 3. Daniel Murray is the main cast. He plays Elijah Bright, aka the Burnt Man, and then we have the brilliant Sean Doyle and Claire Lamass, who play the young couple.
Okay, I would imagine it's a very intense performance. So a lot is expected from those young actors.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, it is intense, but I mean that's what you want. The audience wants to see something. They want to, they want to get their money's worth. You know what I mean? They come in, they expect a high intensity and committed actors, and that's what we have.
Yeah, it's very clever. I mean, 'twas his wife sadly was burnt to death, but he's described as the burnt man. So he's burned obviously by the experience, I suppose, Patrick.
Well done. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's a clever one for sure. And the kind of set, is it the same set throughout? Obviously, if it's a kidnap situation.
Yeah, it's set in a cabin made by the brilliant Mark Quinlan and Jim Fogarty in Port Siri, who are great, and we also have great makeup behind us as well, Charlotte Malloy and Linda. But yeah, it's set in this one cabin, so the entirety of the play takes place in that one setting.
Your production company, where are you based?
We're based in Tullamore, but I'm from Moneygall myself.
Oh, very good, very good.
Yeah, so so it's called Mori Productions. We're new, as I say. So yeah, we're just looking to kind of make our mark here with this play and hopefully venture further. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was intrigued with your name, so I had to throw it into Google to find out. It's about a mythical characters, is it?
That's it. Yeah, like the old two-headed on, the old kind of Celtic Irish myth, we kind of drew from them. But they were at war with these mythical Fomorians, and with the Irish word for it, Fomori.
Well, I hope you're nothing like them. They were rather aggressive to say.
Well, look,
to say the least.
Maybe a bit, like just a touch. You need a bit. Come on, like.
I suppose there is that, all right. So tell me about you and playwriting. I mean, have you written many plays so far?
Yeah, I've written a few. So I was in Galway and I started writing plays there, and then I did one in Tullamore. It's called The Incarnation of the Prodigal Son, and I did that with Tads, and now this is kind of the first play. But I did a radio play there with RTE a while ago, starring Pat Kinavan, called The Last High King of Ireland. Oh. So I've been writing for a while, and then yeah, so that's about it, really.
I'm intrigued, and I'm half jealous and envious of people like you with that kind of talent, because how do you know? You're writing down on a blank sheet of paper, presumably, but you're creating all of this that eventually will make its way to the stage. How do you envision all of that? How does that work?
Yeah, well, I mean, anyone can do it. You just have to commit to the story in your mind and, visualize it out. And, you never know if things are going to be good or bad. And, you can never tell, but you need to just trust. And, as I say, I read a lot, obviously, and I'm drawing on different inspirations. So I think you need to build a good base. For knowing your theatre well, know the dramatic works, and from there then you can kind of bounce off and create other works. I think it's kind of like a pastiche, really. You know what I mean?
Well, it's called The Burned Man. It's happening tomorrow night and Friday night at the lovely Thurles Source. Arts Centre. And there's a number there if you want to book tickets. It's 0504 90204. So that's 0504 90204. Or is there another way you can get tickets that I don't know of, Patrick?
Yeah, if you just go onto the Source website, the Burn Man, it will be there. There's a link online. You can just type it in. There's a couple of tickets left for Friday and a few for Thursday as well. So yeah, look, if you're not at anything, I definitely, we'd love to see support for the play.
Very good indeed. How much of you is in, Elijah?
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I'll allow the audience to tease that out for themselves. Patrick, a pleasure to talk to you. Best of luck to you at the Source. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning to you. Bye-bye. That's Patrick Fogarty there, playwright. And it's called The Burnt Man. It sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Happening at the Source tomorrow night and the night after. We'll take a break.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puck On. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puck On. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, delighted to have in the studio one of our favourite guests ever, Nathan Maher, is with me. Good morning to you, Nathan.
How's things, Fran?
It's always good to see you, sir. And wow, are you heading for the big time or what?
Yeah, we're gone a bit mad now. It's gone busy.
I mean,
over the past couple of months, it's gone mental.
Will you tell me what has happened over the past few? Because, there was always the huge online thing and the TikTok thing and all of that. But it's gone through the roof.
It's gone mental, yeah. So we announced 2 shows. We announced a show in Whelan's in Dublin and a show in the Brew in Cashel, just to test them out and see could we get a bit of a support behind us more than anything. And they sold out, completely sold out. And so I decided we have to get a band together ASAP because I can't get on the stage on my own.
And tell us about how you put the band together, because I love this. I just love this.
Eric, I've known Eric for years, like since I'm a young lad, but Eric hasn't played drums in 10 years.
Yes.
So Eric is my drummer. I text Eric at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, well, are you up for playing a few drums? And he just texted me back, yeah, no bother. I didn't talk to Eric for about 2 weeks after that, and all of a sudden Eric is in the band and we're practicing. And then Sarah I found on TikTok.
Is your banjo player?
He's the banjo player.
Yeah.
Sarah McGrath, she's from Templetooey. But Sarah I found on TikTok, and I just sent her messages like, hey, are you up for joining the band? And she said, yeah, give me a phone call. By the end of the phone call, we'd established Sarah is in the band, like. And Nicky, then the double bass player, I've known Nicky for the last couple of years. He's a fantastic musician. But Nicky was always going to be in the band, do you know?
Yeah.
But only for Nicky now, there's a lot of things that have happened over the last while wouldn't have happened because he kind of pushed you in the right direction. He's been in bands for years, but yeah, we're a great match. Like.
But I only heard the videos of the rehearsals and stuff, but it's perfect for you. The band is perfect.
Yeah, and we all look well together.
Yeah, that line-up just works.
It just clicks, I don't know.
Doesn't it?
We work well together, and we're all just mad for a bit of a laugh. Like even we done a pop-up gig down in Limerick last weekend.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I saw the video. They went nuts.
We had some crack. Oh, it was brilliant now. It was absolutely brilliant. But so your man that owns the pub, Stephen, texted me a couple of months ago, and our schedules just didn't line up. We couldn't get together. And he texted me again. I was like, we don't do pub gigs. Like, we don't do them at all. But I said, for the crack, we'll go down, we'll do a pub gig. We'll see what happens. We went down and the place was absolutely flooded with people. And sure, we were only down there for a bit of a laugh. So Sarah was playing the banjo faster than I've ever heard her play it, and I'm trying to keep into it on the guitar. I kept throwing random songs at Eric that Eric has never played on the drums. Oh, we had a woeful good crack all together. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Well, it looked great. I only saw a few minutes of it on the video, but the atmosphere in the place.
Some atmosphere in the place, yeah, it was mental. It was absolutely mental.
And all young people.
Young people, old people. There was a woman down there, Breda. I got some crack over. We started singing Happy Birthday. I said it was her 90th birthday. She went to kill me. She wasn't 90 at all. I just know we had a right crack now. It was brilliant.
Yeah, look, I'm absolutely delighted for you. What has happened, though, management-wise and promotion-wise and agencies and stuff? What has happened there?
I have a manager now, Ken. He's brilliant. He's a right good lad. So he kind of pushes me in the right directions with things. And then I've an a promoter, Aiken Promotions, I'm working with at the minute. I'm setting up shows all around the country, and then I have another promoter for the UK. So we're working on a tour in England at the minute.
Just for listeners, these are all big guys. These are
all big people, yeah.
This is the real deal.
So like the likes of Amble and Kingfisher work with the same promoter that I'm working with at the minute in England. And then you have Zach Bryan in Parky Naqueeve. He's doing a couple of shows in the next couple of weeks. The same promoter is working with me. And then James Vincent McMorrow, who is a fantastic musician,
Brilliant.
has worked with my manager. And even so my manager owns a studio. So he said, Nathan, I'm going to let you up into our studio and we'll see how you get on. So we went up for the crack, just didn't know what to expect. You know, we thought we were just going to a random studio in the middle of Dublin. You go into the studio and there's platinum plaques hung all over the walls, and you've a Gavin James album, you have a Corona's album hanging on the wall, and it's just a heap of lads from Tip in the middle of it in the hysterics laughing going, how did we make it to here? It's brilliant.
And does this all trace back to Macroom? Is that
kinda, yeah, but see, Macroom got me going, and then I released Devil in Disguise, and Devil in Disguise has done better than Macroom in the time frame. It's gotten more. It's a bigger song. So I don't know. It's mental. It's mental the way it's working.
But when you came into me first, I mean, it was AI was the
AI. Yeah, I was an AI man.
You were out interfering with cows.
Yeah, this time last year I was out interfering with cows. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And now I'm a full-time musician, which I can't get over. Do you know?
Yeah. But was that always the ambition? Because sometimes you said to me, sure, look, I'll play a bit or something. You were kind of easy about it.
Yeah, I was easy about it at the start. And then, I suppose, when dreams start to become a reality, you go, okay, I'm going to kick into gear here and give it my best shot. There's no point in 10 years or 20 years' time looking back and going, jeez, I should have done more there. I should have given more effort. So I decided somewhere along the line, this is it. And especially the new year. I said to the lads, in the new year, this is it. We're going to put a massive push on it. We're going to give it our all. And if at the end of the year we decide we're not having fun and this is not for us, so be it.
Right, but you're going to give it a big shot.
We're going to give it everything we have in 2026 and see, can we make it work? And so far, so good, you know.
But you can't. You know the tickets are like gold dust for Brew Baroo. You know that, don't you?
I know, yeah. It's mental.
People are fighting over tickets.
Somebody booked a flight for Whelan's in Dublin and forgot to buy a ticket and texted me last week asking me, Nathan, can you please get me a ticket somehow? I'm coming from the UK. And I had, there's nothing I can do, you know. And then a soccer player texted me, a famous soccer player texted me and said, I'm mad to go to the gig in Whelan's, can you get me a ticket? So there's nothing I can do. He's like, oh no, I was going to fly out. You know, people like that. And I'm just Nathan from Ballingarry. You know, it's nuts to me. It's all mental.
Yeah, but are you beginning to take your talent seriously now? Because I thought you were always kind of dismissive of your own talent. Are you beginning to see now what other people are seeing?
No.
You know? That's not supposed to be the answer.
No, I'm starting to take music in general a bit more seriously, alright?
Yeah.
I still don't understand how it's all working. But we're having so much fun. The four of us together are having so much fun, even for the practice sessions.
And is that spilling off, you think, as well?
I think
the fact
so.
You're all having a good time.
Yeah, because even the other night below in Limerick, it was our first time playing as a band together. And, we'd more crack in the band just laughing at each other. It was unbelievable. And when the gig was over, we were just laughing the whole way through. we played through the set too fast, so we were doing a longer gig in Limerick compared to what we'll be doing in shows,
Yes.
Because we're you know what, we'll stay for an extra bit longer and get through songs that we weren't definitely not going to play at the show, a couple of covers or whatever. So we ran out of songs. And we were all just standing there looking at each other going, hey, what's next here? So we just started playing the same set, all the upbeat songs off the set, we just started playing them again and drove the pub absolutely mental. But we were all just laughing at each other the whole way through. And I think the fact that we're having fun while doing it, people are like, oh yeah, they're a fun band to go and see, you know.
That's great. Will you play a gig in Macroom at some point?
I've got that question at least 15 times this week in the last 3 days. I've gotten texts, when are you coming to Macroom? So I'm trying to look up venues in Macroom.
You're going to have to
see.
play in Macroom.
But I'm getting it the whole time, yeah.
But the only thing is, what bloody venue could cope with you in Macroom? I would say thousands would come to that.
I don't know. There's a 200-seater venue in Macroom that I'd love to go to. Just for the crack. But
I don't think it would be big enough, though.
Yeah, see, this is the thing with even Brew. I know we're sold out.
Yeah.
We're completely sold out. Even the guest list. I've put people on the guest list that should have bought tickets. That there's no way you were getting on the guest list. Only we're sold out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I booked a room in Brosnan's in Cashel for after the gig. So we're all going to go down to Brosnan's after a gig and have a big
Are you sure
session.
you want to tell people?
Oh, come on down, yeah. So we're going to go down to Brosnan's in Cashel afterwards. I booked the back room and we're going to go down and have a big session. So if you're coming, bring your instruments. If you play an instrument, bring it. And we'll go to Brosnan's and we'll all have a big trad session at the end of it. So that's the plan. I just want people to have fun, like, do you know what I mean?
It's going to be marvellous. Are you going to play something for us?
I will. I have a new song coming out on Friday, the same day as the gig in Cashel. It's actually the song I made in Dublin with that producer that done Gavin James and the Coronas. Now it won't sound the same because you haven't the full band.
It's going to even sound
we'll give it a go.
I would imagine.
This is a song we were kind of. This is a song we couldn't decide on a name. We were pulled between Burning Again and It Don't Make No Sense. So we landed on It Don't Make No Sense between the four of us. I don't know. It's a bad name for a song, but anyway.
In your own time. So this is going to be the brand new single, yeah?
This is the new one. I wrote it in Tyrone. I was working in Tyrone. I was cleaning out a rotten tank of soup in Tyrone.
A tank of soup?
A tank of soup for a company I was working for, yeah. And so essentially full breathing apparatus have to get into the tank to clean out the tank of soup. And I remember getting back to the hotel and I was saying to myself, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why am I doing this for a living? Like, music is starting to take off. Why am I doing all this for a living? I was like, I miss my family. I miss everything. What am I doing? And so we finished up that job. I had the first verse and the chorus wrote there, and we finished up that job and we went on to Bray to clean out a tank of sewerage. It's the best way I could explain it to you. And back at the hotel again, I was like, right, and I always have a guitar with me no matter where I go, so I was like, right, I'm going to finish this song. So I sat down in Bray and I finished this song, and then we said, well, we may get to the studio with this one because it was a good song. So yeah, I'll give it a rattle through and see what happens.
Looking forward to this in your own time. In your own time, Nathan. Yeah.
Love, it feels like a different part of me. It's like I'm running out of air and it's yours I wanna breathe and life it rushes past the pace I can't believe. It's like I'm running out of time, but I have so much to achieve and I've been working hard with shovels in the dirt and it's killing me inside and I just can't explain the hurt. And when will I get the time to chase my dreams? I feel like everybody's trying to pull a different part of me. No, it don't make no sense. I feel as if I'm burning again. Well, the money's in, it's like a win, but is it worth the struggling? No, it don't make no sense. No, it don't make no sense. I've been living out the bags we used for school, the ones that we thought using one strap meant we were cool, and I've been sleeping out in dirty hotel rooms with one eye open, counting sheep and thinking about you. And I've been feeling like I'm going insane. Oh, how do people live while playing this game? So honey, close your eyes and go to sleep, and hopefully you'll wake up to the better part of me. No, it don't make no sense. I feel as if I'm burning again. Well, the money's in, it's like a win, but is it worth the struggling? No, it don't make no sense. No, it don't make no sense. Who's the one you want to call when you are broken and you're down? And who's the one you want to be with when your world is upside down? We were dancing in the rain, now you're dancing all alone. No, it don't make no sense. I feel as if I'm burning again. Well, the money's in, it's like a win, but is it worth the struggling? No, it don't make no sense. No, it don't make no sense. No, it
done, you. That's got to be huge.
Hope so. I love it. And it's my favourite song I've ever written. It's one that, like, I find with Macrome, it was kind of a joke. It was a laugh. We were having fun.
Yeah.
Devil in Disguise was the follow-up to that.
Yes.
So it was another song like that. But this is one that's genuinely from my heart. I was in the lowest of the lowest time. And I was like, I want to write a song to try and make myself feel better. So that's where that song came from. Like, so I really hope it does hit for everyone else the same it does for me. Like.
But you have such a knack, and all of us musicians would like to have it, writing songs with a hook. I mean, I could hear the whole place singing that, those choruses, you know. Is that deliberate in some way, or does it just happen for you?
It just happens.
Are you lucky
and,
that
and don't get me wrong, I've written songs that I can't find the good part of. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone, if you write songs, you'll write 15 bad songs before you write the one. Do you know?
Yeah.
And you have to write them bad songs, I think. Like, for the whole process of it, you have to write the bad songs to go, oh, that's just a bad song, so be it. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's a learning process.
Every day, it's a learning process, but it's an exercise. You have to exercise. It's like every skill in the world.
But can the same not be said then, Nathan, for the experiences of cleaning out the soup and the SH1T and all of that? Did that all build up to you being you and putting that out there in songs, if you know what I mean?
Every bit of it, yeah.
Every bit of the experience, yeah.
I think your whole life, if you're into music, and a lot of people will say it, there's a reason everybody that plays music. Yeah. Because I've yet to meet anybody that plays music that's 100% okay in the head. Like, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I've played music with loads of lads, famous lads and everything, and there's something amiss with all of us, do you know? So,
I hope you say present company excluded from that.
No, we're all in this boat together, Fran. There's no escaping it, like, you know.
The last time you spoke to us, you were very honest with us about your own mental health issues and struggles you had over the time. Is this your happy place now, though? Are you?
Yeah. I am happy. It's mad, like, and I put up a post on Facebook the other day to say, like, it's been a long time since I've been this proud, this happy, and felt so secure. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I'm in the music industry. Nothing is secure.
Yeah.
You're the most unsecure I've ever been, but I'm happier. Do you know what I mean? I'm happier being unsecure. Is the mad thing to say.
Yeah.
I love it. Just every day I sit down, I play the guitar, and I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy what I do. Like, do you know what I mean? And not many people get the chance to say I really enjoy going to work every day.
Well, that's
do you know
absolutely
what I mean?
certain.
Really enjoy it. Getting up out of bed in the morning is the best time compared to getting up before at 5 in the morning to go and do bad things to cows. Do you know what I mean? Like, how could you say I love my job when you're doing stuff like, you know, you can't, like.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. Like, it's mad.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to hear it. What about your friends and family? What are they making of the?
Oh, so they find it mental. Like, my mother's nervous and happy at the same time.
What's she nervous of?
I don't know. Sure, she's nervous for me. Do you know? Because I'm going doing these shows and I'm not nervous. So one of us have to be. So my mother decides she'll take it, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and my father, he's excited. He loves it. So all his friends are coming to Cashel, and there's people coming from all over the country, like, and they're like, lads, I'm just playing a show. Like, this has to become normal to me at some stage. Like, we can't just stay bringing all the family.
And what about that? I mean, would you be able to cope with the fact, because it always happens with people who make it, you know, that everybody wants a piece of you. You know, Are you already seeing little
it's
pieces
like
of that?
I was talking to a lad the other day in Limerick, a really, really, really nice young lad, and I was standing at the car packing up the car or whatever, and he was chatting to me and he said, how can I say this now without saying the actual word? He said, I didn't think you'd be as nice as you were, but you're actually sound, is exactly what he said. And I was standing there like, Jesus, what way do I come off at all? Like, and you get loads of people then, like, that follow you around, like, I want pictures, and it gets to a point, like, where you're like, okay, I'm going to just divide everyone for a while. But then you have to remember, it's exciting too. Like,
of course it is. But my only fear for you is that it might become a bit much. But you'll know that, and you'll protect yourself.
I protect myself in ways, like everybody, you have to, like, you can't be in the music industry and not understand this. Like, and in fairness, it's been this way for the last 2 or 3 years for me.
Yeah.
So I'm well used to it now. Like, I went up to the Two Johnnies, the pints in a field above in Dublin, up in St. Helens. It was some crack now. Jeez, we're mental. There was one of the lads wearing one of herself's boots walking around the place now. It was mental. But I remember going, I needed to go toilet, busting to go toilet, had to go to the toilet. And I must have given an hour trying to get there, because every time I took 10 steps I was stopped by a group of lads going, oh, please get pictures. So, and you have to do that. Like, you can't be the bad lad. Like, you have to do these pictures, and you have to do all that stuff. But like, it gets to a point where you're like, I'm severely overwhelmed here.
I need to go to
the toilet. Like, do you know, this is going to run down my leg in the next 5 minutes if you don't let me go. So you just have to go, okay, lads, I'm gone. I'll see you later, and walk away. Like, do you know what I mean?
What will there be an album? Will there be?
Yeah. So we're working on it at the minute. Like, so you're going to hear a lot of unreleased songs in Cashel and a lot of unreleased songs in Dublin, but a lot of them songs are going to be album songs, and then the songs you won't hear that are going to be singles that are already written and ready to go, but you're not going to hear them because I want to release them as singles. Of course, and I don't want to take the.
But will you be testing material as well, Nathan?
Testing a lot of songs. Yeah, we have a lot. We've 15 songs there to test. Like that we decided on that. We think they're right good. Like, you know.
Is Macroom going to become for you what Sweet Caroline was for Neil Diamond? I said the man hated it at the end of the day.
I hope it does, because Neil Diamond made millions, like, you know. So,
but you know what I mean? Would it always be a case that you'll never be able to finish a show without sort of?
I think so, yeah. And there was a point where I absolutely hated singing it, you know, because you hear it too much.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to love singing it again recently. Like,
well, that's because the reaction.
Yeah, it's see, I completely avoided gigs and all that crack for so long.
Yeah.
So like, the song came out in 2024, it's 2026 now, we're finally getting gigs going. And that's because I didn't want to do pub gigs, because you're playing at a pub gig, and I'm nothing against pubs or people to sing in pubs. I actually love going to the pub to hear songs myself. But like, if you're singing in pubs, I think a lot of people just want to hear you sing Oasis Wonderwall, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I've given so much time to writing all my own music, like so much time. It just kills me when somebody does it, you know. So we've been working so hard and trying to get shows on so people can hear the songs that I've been writing, you know, and work to that.
I think that's fantastic, because you could have done what I've done over the years. You could take the Queen shilling and, you know, say, well, I need a few bob, so I'll go and do these things.
But there has been times where I've been like, okay, I am badly stuck here. I don't know how I'm going to get through.
But you didn't. You remained true to what you were doing.
Yeah, just kind of stuck to it, and made it work somehow. Like, so we got jerseys made up and stuff now, like, for the shows and.
What, like merchandise?
Oh, it looked like proper merchandise.
Give us a look.
Yeah, we've proper merchandise. Yeah, so we got our own custom-made jerseys and stuff to try and sell merch at the shows. Because, let's be fair, we're doing 2 headline shows, our first headline shows. We're not making millions here. Like, if anything, I'm losing a hell of a lot of money here. A hell of a lot. Like, by the time you set up all the equipment and everything, we're losing money at these shows.
Of course, yeah. Hiring PA and all of that.
Hiring PA, you have to hire the venue, and so there's a lot of money that's we're not making.
Yeah.
Hire photographers and videographers and everything. So you end up losing money from shows. So we're like, we'll sell a bit of merch, we'll try and get enough money just to pay the band. If I can just pay the 3 lads, I'm happy. I don't even want money. If I can just pay the 3 lads, we're delighted, like, you know.
But you look, this is only the start for you. I mean, I think, honestly, you have a huge future. I mean, absolutely huge.
I hope you're right, Fran.
I mean, this is one of the few pieces of tape that I'm going to keep.
Go away.
I normally lose everything, but no, I think it's going to be huge for you. I mean, would you look outside of the country, for example? Is that all part of the dream? Is that part of the future?
So, like, the songs, like all 3 songs, so Flying Home, Macroom and Devil in the Skies, are played in 130 different countries a month. That's absolutely insane to me.
Wow.
And when you scroll down, there's like Kazakhstan. I'm like, who in Kazakhstan is listed to Macroom? Like, what's going on with you? But like, yeah, in 130 different countries. So I'm wanted in England, and I know that much, and I'm wanted in Australia. So it's like, how am I going to make it all work?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a big risk. Like, it's a gamble. It like, the whole music industry is a gamble. It's like, will I take the gamble and go upon shows in Australia? And if nobody shows up, I lose absolutely everything. Do you know?
But you're with all the Irish people who have moved to Australia, who will be following what you're doing, and it would be huge.
And there was a friend of mine actually the other day is in Australia, and they've been there for years, and they were going on a wine tasting tour with a bus transfer. And on the bus, Macroom was playing on the way there, and Devil in the Skies was playing on the way back. Wow. And the 2 of them were sending me videos freaking out, going, look at this is class. So I said, I guarantee you went up to the bus driver and told him you knew me. They're like, yeah, I was in school with him. I was like, yeah, there you go. Like.
And do you find that people who sort of, well, they mightn't have bothered too much with you, but now all of a sudden,
yeah, I find that, I find it hilarious, like, because like there's people that, you know, you would have liked and they didn't like you, kind of thing. And now they're like, they're trying to be your friend, and you're like, no, I apologise, but not happening anymore. Like, you know. So you have to...
I love it, yeah.
You have to see that, though.
I remember many years ago I was playing Clontarf Castle, and, you know, the band was doing well at the time and stuff, and this word came into me, so-and-so was down at a table down there. The so-and-so in question was the biggest bully in the school and had bullied me and everything, but all of a sudden, you know, just wanted sort of to show to the people at the table that he knew so-and-so in the band, you know. And, you know, like a fool, I went down and pretended he was like my long-lost brother. But anyway, there's...
Yeah, I suppose... It takes a while, I think, to grab onto that and notice it, doesn't it? Like to be like, in the moment, it's very hard to think of that.
I know.
It's very in the moment, when you're really in the moment, and you're like, somebody knows me, like, do you know what I mean? And you're like,
But what makes up for it is all the wonderful people. I mean, really Jesus, amazing.
The amount of people and the amount of amazing messages I get, like, and I got a text off a lad in Belgium saying my dad loved Irish music. So I just searched Irish music on Spotify and I was flicking through and I just came across your music, and he thanked me and said, I love your music, and if you're ever out in Belgium, will you please let me know? And I'm like, geez, that's a lovely message to get. Like, it made me whole week. It's still making me weak, like, do you know what I mean? So there's some fantastic messages that I get off of really nice people, like, and videos of people's kids singing my songs. Now, your kids probably shouldn't be singing my songs. Do you know what I mean? Not the two I've released so far, but they probably shouldn't be singing them. But it's cute, like, and you're like, that's really nice. Like, the people are actually listening. Like, you know, it's lovely.
You're going to kill me. I know you're going to kill me now, but I mean, I'm looking at the screen in front of me here. Will you sing a verse of Macroom or something?
I'll sing Macroom for you.
I know. But if you wouldn't mind, because that's what they're looking for.
I can't get away from it.
You can't get away from it.
Or the words of it now. As I walked home of a starry night in the middle of June, and across the road she caught me eye. Oh, what am I going to do? With her long blonde hair and looks to spare, I must find out her name. Oh, turn your back, she'll drive you mad, yeah, she'll drive you insane. I fought the voice that told me not to go there. I crossed the road and made my way up to the square. I says to her, oh, can't you see I am the man for you? You might be bad and drive me mad, but I'll drive you mad too. Oh, we kissed underneath the moon. Next thing you know, we're driving slow, we're heading back to her room. Oh, we're heading back to Macroom, where the rivers flow and the locals know what she's been getting up to. Well, I woke up in the morning with nothing on but the radio. I looked to me left and looked to me right to realise I was on me own. There was lingerie and whips and chains strung around the room. Oh, God, says I, oh, Jesus Christ, what happened in my room? Oh, we kissed underneath the moon. Next thing you know, we're driving slow, we're heading back to Macroom. Oh, what am I going to do? With me wallet gone and me clothes back on, I suppose I'll write a tune. And I'm only singing that much because you'll have to pay to see the rest of it.
Oh, well done, you. Absolutely fantastic altogether. Well, much success to you, Nathan, and delightful of you to come into us today as well. Other concerts, do you want to, because somebody wants to know, are we going to give away tickets? Yeah, sure we are.
I wish I had tickets to give away.
Yeah.
We're playing Donegal in July, I think.
All right, okay.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, okay.
I look at the calendar and you're like,
people want to know, are you back in Tipperary soon? Then?
I will be, yeah. I'm going to, once we get these two shows over with, I'm definitely going to come back to Tipperary, because I'm from Tip and it's really handy, and it's lovely to meet the local crowd. Like, and I've said it the whole way through, if you can get your local crowd behind you, you have absolutely everyone.
Yeah.
Because they'll share it, they'll look after you, they'll do as much as they can to help you out, like. And I love it, like, everyone in Ballingarry, just, it's so nice to see him. Even if I put it on Facebook, they all share a comment on it, and they love it. Like, and I've said it from the start. If you can get the local people behind you, and you can get the local people supporting you, it's better than everyone else. Like, you know, because all these people that have watched you grow up are now supporting you. It's so nice, like, you know. So I'll have to come back to Tip.
Well, sure, you're putting Ballingarry on the map, sure, and why?
Liam Carroll done there, really. Let's be fair about it.
Why wouldn't they support you? Real pleasure, Nathan, and have a ball in Brew and Brosnan's afterwards. Even though you're putting that out there, you know what's going to happen now.
It's going to be mental. Yeah, that's what we want. We're mad in the head. The four of us are mental anyway, so that's what we want. Like, come back for a bit of a crack and a few drinks, and
all right, great to see you. Much congratulations. Thanks Nathan. Thanks very much indeed. We'll take a break. We're back with more.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tip Today on 1800 938 007.
Lovely messages coming in there about Nathan. Brian says, isn't he great, Fran? A real artist, what a talent, and an absolute tonic as well. Just like the Pat Short of music, he's going to be huge. Music needs artists like Nathan. Good for the soul, says Brian. And one of our listeners saying they're going to be very disappointed cows and heifers that you won't be chancing your arm in this year as well. Now that's making reference to Nathan's previous career in AI, and no, it's the other kind of AI, but there you go. Anyway, and no, I can't help you with tickets for Friday night. Absolute sellout. They could have sold it out 3 or 4 times over, I would imagine. Continuing now with a conversation around relationships and the like. Pat Mullally, great friend of ours, joins me online. Good morning to you, Pat.
Good morning, Fran. How are you keeping?
I'm very well indeed, Pat. The whole business of Valentine's Day, does that mean anything, Pat, to yourself?
I suppose it does. It does. It's get the few roses or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I'm married 46 years this year, so it's a long time.
And did you meet through politics or something, Pat, was it?
We met through politics, yes.
Yeah.
I was going for election in 1979 for local election. Myself, Tom Ambrose, Lord Mercer, Carrick and Lord Mercer, Philly Halloran and Kilsheal, and the four of us went for the Clonmel Borough Council and Clonmel rural area. Yeah. And I met Breda. She was working for Noel Davin at the time. He was going for Europe. And when our eyes met, funny enough, I thought she was nice. And she made a few inquiries about me. And when Noel got elected with a victory dance in Cashel, up where the old motel, up where the controversy with the houses now.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
the Cashel Kings.
29th of June.
Yeah.
And Noel's victory dance was there, and we met there, and the rest is history. We got married in 1980, and we had our first born was Sheena in 1982, our second in 1984, and that was it. Bank manager said you can't afford any more, so that was it.
Can't afford any more. I love it. And you would have had health issues over the years, Pat. Does that?
Well, in the latter years. You see, the thing about it is with marriage and with relationships and things like that. The first thing about it is the love aspect of it. Obviously, romance and whatever the case may be, and then you go to building your house building your home, building a nest. As my father used to always say, you build a nest first.
Yes.
But that doesn't work nowadays because of the fact of the housing crisis and God knows what. But he was always the person that would say, build your nest first and then you can get married and whatever the case may be. That was the old style of doing it. And then, of course, when you start building your house, you have financial issues, you have mortgage to pay, and then you have, say, your kids growing up. The kids, they need nurturing, they need food, they need whatever the case may be, clothes, and then they go to school, they go to college. All those things are little bills that put a pressure on a marriage. And I suppose then at the end of the day, you look at... there's a couple of things that keep a marriage together anyway. That's number one is commitment, The other one then of why marriages fail is probably infidelity and people falling apart or whatever the case may be. Communication set down, You're talking about communications in a marriage. I remember before, I heard a story one time that there was this girl, she got married. We'll call her Veronica. Now, these are not real names, And Veronica got married anyway to Robert. And everything was lovely. Robert was a smashing fella, and he was very, very mannerly, and he was very quiet kind of an individual anyway. But after 5 years, the talking stopped in the marriage. So she went to the priest that married her. They married him anyway, and she said, Father, she said, I have a small problem. She said, Robert hasn't spoken to me for 4 years. I think he's having an affair. Oh, God, says the priest. He knew Robert, and he knew that this would not be his forte.
Yeah.
So he said, look, he said, he was shocked, and he was thinking about it. He said, I'll have a little chat with Robert, and we'll find out. He said, we'll get to the crux of the matter. So anyway, he met Robert and made it his business to meet him. And he said, how are you getting on, Robert? And he knew the family very, very well. And Grant, says Father Grant, and he said that, have you any problem at home or any problems with the marriage? Or, is everything going okay? Oh, God, it is. He said, I was just talking to Veronica the other day, and she said that you haven't spoken to her for 4 years. Well, you know me now, Father, he said. I'm a very mannerly type of an individual, and I was always told, he said, never butt in when a woman is talking.
A piece of good advice indeed. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, a very good piece of advice indeed. Is that something you follow? Is that something you follow yourself, Pat?
No, not really, no, because an argument is a good thing in life, you know what I mean? Yeah. To fight your corner or fight your case, you know.
But you described there yourself, I mean, you started, your own words, you start with the nest and you work there. But do you feel for young couples now who can't do that? They're not in a position to do that anymore.
There is an awful lot of stress in marriages nowadays. Yeah. I mean, an awful lot of stress. For couples even. Yeah. Forget even about marriage, just for partnerships, for couples. How they fall apart, because money is one thing.
Yeah.
Stress, is brought on by money. There's also the fact is that there's drugs around there. Do you know what I mean? Addiction. There's a whole load of things that causes problems inside marriage. And I don't think the young people nowadays can cope with that. They want everything instant. Do you know what I mean? They want their car, they want their house, they want everything. And if they don't get it in, suddenly it's a problem, And marriages break up, partnerships break up, and what's happening at the end of the day, the poor kids at the end of the day, then that end up with one-parent family or whatever, So, it is tough. It is tough. Now, I'm not a marriage counsellor, good, bad, nor indifferent. We have our ups and downs as well, as every household would have. Yeah. But not enough to say, right, that she's going to kick me out or I'm going to kick her out or whatever the case may be, I wouldn't succeed in it anyway, Fran, I always think that marriage is built on a three-legged stool type of business. Like you're sitting under a couch, a three-legged stool. It'll never rock because the three-legged stool is well balanced. So two legs are the two partners. And the one in the middle, the one then, the third leg that's inside it is the crutch. Yes. The crutch that for me, example, now that I have only one leg, and sometimes when I'm walking out, I have to have Breeder beside me, and she, without I knowing it, she can have her hand on my shoulder, or she could see me staggering, or she'd balance me up, or whatever the case may be. So that's what partnership is all about. That's what marriage is all about.
And does illness put a strain on relationships?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, if you see people. I'll put it this way to you. How many couples, and I've heard of a few in the last couple of years, in the last couple of months, couples that whereby one of the partner dies, either the male or the female dies, husband or wife dies, one of them dies, and within weeks, and I know one within a day, the other partner died as well.
Yeah.
Just went away, wasted away. There were two old people, they had a life commitment together, and suddenly then when one died, the other just couldn't live. And that's true love, and that's romance. That's a commitment to each other, And stress is an awful lot of thing, and it can be brought on by health issues. Do you know what I mean? Because you're looking at a person there that may have, unfortunately, cancer or whatever the case may be, and you're worried.
Yeah.
Either you're worried about your wife, or you're worried about your husband, or whatever the case may be. And that's tough. So, that's my chat.
Right, but in the right relationship, you're saying you can get by so much of that, Pat.
Oh, you can, of course.
You can survive so much of that.
Yeah. You can. And I suppose I wouldn't be a great prayer addict to good, bad, or indifference, but when stuff... You mentioned there earlier on about Mount Melleray.
Yes.
When I had my problem with my leg, I used to go up to Mount Melleray, and the solace and the quietness about the place was just something that kind of done me the world of good,
Well, Pat, lovely to talk to you today. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of that with us. Look forward to talking to you again. Thanks, Pat. Thank you. Good morning to you. That's Pat Mullally speaking to us there. Just before I go, our good friends with the Mishnach choir in Nina, they have a very special night along with an old friend of mine, DJ Vinny. And it's One Love, it's called, and it's happening at the Nina Arts Centre on Friday night, the 13th. And if you want to book tickets for that, it's 067 3400. And it's supporting the Order of Malta. But the Mishnach Choir, along with special guests, and the 1980s slow set reception at 6:30 with DJ Vinny. So it sounds like great crack altogether. That's it from me. Leanne produced. Ali looks after content. Stephen has the time tunnel on the lunchtime show. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Look after yourselves in the meantime, won't you? Bye-bye.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.